true crime. From cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off into fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, everybody. What's up? Are you all ready for a crazy ride today? Wade Wilson, double murder spree. Wow, this just made it to trial. Can you all hear me okay? Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm feeling much better today. I was a little bit late. The job never ends. So never can say who I'm talking to, but I got a very important phone call today, and from the Madeline Soto case, of course, because that case is never ending, but we do want justice. And later on, I'll have a message. We'll say the message is from our angel, Maddie Soto. So that's all I'm going to say. I had to take that. So I know you can excuse that I am late today. Yeah, fresh new cases. So I'll say hi. What's up, DZ? Happy Saturday, crime crew. Anyone that's here, thank you, because no one has to be here. You could be doing something else, but you're here with me. This is a break from children, missing children, and cases that are really hard sometimes to mentally deal with. This is an awful case. What's up, Stacy? Sadie's mama. Ree, thank you for modding today. I'm not sure if Davey or Carly is here, but Bree handles everything just fine and better. Sheila, afternoon from I'm going to say that, Casadega, Florida. There we go. All right, not the mama. What's up? What's up, Athena? Sizzle 74. This one should be interesting. This is a wild ride, folks, and I'm kind of lagging here as I make sure people come in. I was late, and a lot of people don't know this Wade Wilson case, and when you Google him, he's actually from Cape Coral, Florida, or the case is Wade Wilson, Cape Coral, Florida, murder spree. And I'm going to call this the tattoo-faced murder spree because this guy is something else. I'm going to show you the many faces, tell you the story. I've got lots of videos to play. This started in 2019, and we're just getting into court. So I'm going to put up a picture of the victims, and I'm going to put up a picture of the many faces of Wade Wilson. Now, you're probably going to hear this from me. Hopefully, you guys get into this case because I'm going to follow it. And there's going to be many other cases that I'm going to start following. And hopefully, you come with me. Okay? Yes, in the house. Bree and Carly. Is Carly here today? What is up from Ireland? How you doing? That's why I love coming on Saturdays in the middle of my day. We call it Cape Coma. Well, thank you. I like when people are from the area and they can tell me what's up. So let's look for that file I've got there. And we're going to pull up the many faces, and I'll kind of show you, kind of just dig around, and then we'll talk about it. I also want to show you the victims, of course. We're the victims in this particular case. Kristine Melton, who's 35 years old, and Diane Ruiz. All right, so I'm going to show you that, get into it. You guys just buckle in because you got a wild ride today. This one's definitely, we call it, Bree says, down the rabbit hole with Jay, and definitely I'm making this rabbit hole a lot easier for you as we approach trial. Trial did start. Jurors were picked this last week, and once you start seeing this all over, howdy from Indiana, what's up? What is up, Jan on the Lamb? Always a pleasure to have you here. California love, baby. Yeah, different faces. He looks so different, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you the progression. I'm going to tell you the story so you don't have to dig into it as trial starts. We're all true crime junkies here. We all do true crime all the time. So since we do true crime all the time, y'all are in for a ride. And I'm not starting from now, I'm starting from 2019. We're going to go back to when it happened, and we're going to go to the many things that happened. Because Casadega Halloween is one I will never forget. I Spy Crime. I'm so glad you're covering this. Can't wait to hear what you have to say about all his tattoos. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to call this the tattoo-faced killer. We can call him the two-faced killer as well, because this guy is just all over the place. Trial has begun, Princess Mitch. We're going to get into that, but I'm not going to start from trial because everybody's going to see the trial and not know anything about this guy. Everybody that hasn't seen this today, you're going to want to rewatch this because you're not going to know his backstory. Hello, everyone. I heard of this one. You're hearing of it now because Court TV is covering it, but they didn't cover all the things he did before. This guy didn't start out with all these tattoos, folks. He got them while he was in jail, and he's been sitting there for a long time. Stacy, my husband says I have issues with my entire YouTube is true crime trials and serial killers. Stacy, same here. That's all I do is consume that, and all my phone calls seem to consist of that. So I'm going to call it research since I have a channel now. What's up, Davey? All right, so let me show you the many faces. I'm going to just kind of move around as I talk, and then I'll give you a timeline, the story, and then we're going to go through each thing. Now you'll be prepped for trial after this episode. I can't tell you how long this episode is going to be because I got a lot to dig into. So I got it all in order for you, baby. All the crime crew, thank you for being here. I'm in a good mood today. I slept well last night. I'm feeling good. We got a hotel and we checked in, but I haven't moved in. We're going to do that later on tonight. So what is up, Carly? Carly's in the house. I've missed you tremendously. You can't take vacations anymore. Just kidding. All right. I say I'm highly informed. Yeah, I say I'm doing research is what I'm saying. Now I'm allowed to do research because guess what? I have a channel. All right. So let me show you. I'm going to move around on the screen a little bit so you can see as I talk. So this starts in 2019, and I'll go over that as we go and why there are so many different pictures, why he looks so different. So if you can see him, he's like a baby right here. You see, these are arrest pictures. These arrest pictures are from different things. This guy is one of those guys that's been in trouble his whole life and continues to do so even when he's in jail. So if you want to call this a rabbit hole, let's call it a rabbit hole because he did a murder spree. He confessed to it. Then he took it back. And then he said it was a conspiracy against him and he didn't do it after he gave a written confession that you're going to watch today. Then he escapes from jail. And then he goes into jail, gets tattooed all over his face. And then after he gets tattooed all over his face, he has a hearing to put makeup over the tattoos on his face. And then after he has a hearing to take the tattoos off of his face, he uses them anyway. Is there anything weirder than that? Okay. I just gave you a whole bunch of information in one, so I hope everybody was listening. I'm going to go along in order, but does this sound crazy enough for everybody yet that you're ready to hear the story and listen? What's up, KA Pieces? It's in your town. Wow, I know so many deets and say, I'm glad you do. And we might not have a huge group here today, but it's cool because I can tell the story. Hopefully we get the rewatch crew, people get interested, and then after that, we're going to cover the trial as much as we can. What do you mean you're confused? How could you be confused? I'm going to go in chronological order. I'm just telling you what's up with all the things going on. Hello from Texas. Anytime I hear something sus, maybe I'm like, Deception Detective. Yeah, and Deception Detective he's covering the Jennifer Soto body cam. If you ask, you shall receive, folks. All right. Yeah, this guy's off his rocker and we're going to cover it. So like I said, as I'm showing you these pictures, he's a baby here. Okay. And there are his two victims. We've got right here, jury selection. Hold on. Just forgot their names because it is definitely a rabbit hole. We have Kristine, Melton, and Diana Ruiz. So I'll show you those pictures of the victims. There's Kristine, Melton, and oh wow, what did you see that? What just happened? Okay, hold on. There's a lot of information today. And actually, that's perfect. Now, there you go. The tattoo face double murder spree. Perfect. There it is. All right. So DD is posted. Yeah, it's for tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. So now we have the victims, and I'm going to tell you the story. There's many faces of this guy, and he's all over. So let's tell the story so you're not confused. We're going to start in chronological order. I'm not going to go all over the back. Yeah, all over. I'm not going to start from now until then. The only thing you need to know now is that jury selection has happened this last week, and court will happen. The trial will happen hopefully next week, and you'll be all caught up. So when you start watching the trial, you'll know what's going on. There won't be any, I heard this guy did this, and didn't he do this? Nope, I'm going to break it all down for you right now. Yes, he does have a swastika, and we're going to get to that too. Jamie, you came in at the right time because I'm just about to tell you. All right, I'm going to tell you in chronological order, and then we're going to go through videos in chronological order of all the things that happened. So let me tell you a story. The victims that you see on the screen are Kristine Melton, 35 years old. She was found dead in Cape Coral in her home on October 7th in 2019. All right, we're in June 8th, 2024. So people, that's why you have to be patient about trials. You have to be really patient about people going on trial, getting arrested, all of that, because we need the police to do their job. So here's the victims. Kristine Melton, 35, found dead in her house, Cape Coral. If you don't know where that is, it's Florida, October 7th. Diana Ruiz, which you can see on the screen, was 43 years old, and she vanished while walking to work on the same day that Melton was found dead. Her body was discovered 3 days later in a field behind Sam's Club. All right, is everybody with me so far? What's up, Jelly Baby? Hey, what's up? Did he tattoo a chin beard? I don't know. It kind of looks like it. We're going to see lots of pictures of him. We're going to see as he morphs from baby criminal to this joker of a jokester that did a killing spree on these two beautiful ladies. That's life was taken way too soon. KA Pieces, it starts Monday, so that's why I need you here with me today on a Saturday to get the story out so you know what's going on. All right? Yeah, hit that like button, folks. If you can do me a favor and hit that like button for me. I want this to get in that algorithm because I do want people to know the story. And here's what we're doing. Here's our job. We're prepping for trial. Okay. I'm not going to just talk about it. I'm going to go through everything with you today. So, all right, we got the victims. Both crimes happened on October 7th, 2019. Okay, so that we're in 2024. Trial begins Monday. This happened many years ago. Kristine was found in her house in Florida, passed, and Diane vanished and was found 3 days later behind a Sam's Club field in Cape Coral, Florida. All right, so timeline of the murders. October 7th, 2019. I can put the pictures back up if you want to see the many pictures. His side of the story is not just suspicious, it's crazy because he tries to escape in the middle of this. He also gives a confession and then redacts it and talks about some conspiracy theory. But there's not much of a rabbit hole because I'm just going to tell you how it is. After he killed Kristine, he then went to Mila's work and tried to get her in the car. That was of then deceased Kristine's. He wasn't able to, so then he sped away in a stolen vehicle. Yeah, so like I said, tattoo face, double murder spree. It was a spree. He did it on that day. We are the jury, Jan on the Lamb, and we're doing our research. Even though juries don't get to do the research, we get to be the jury here. Innocent until proven guilty. and it's been a while, but he's done a lot of things in between, even while he's locked up. We're going to, oh yeah, you think? No, I think he's an upstanding citizen that's never done anything a day in his life. The court of common sense is now in session. The court of common sense and taking out all the bullshit, right? All right. I wanted to show all the pictures. I don't know why it shared that, but let me remove that and show you the other pictures, and then we know who the victims are now. Okay. Now that we know the victims, present. Why did it take it off of that? Hold on. I gotta get back on here. That's okay. I'm just gonna tell you this story, but we'll get on there. So any questions you have, folks, please feel free to. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. If you guys have questions, talk about it in chat. I just want to make sure you see all the faces of him, and then I'll tell you the story the way I tell the stories, with news clips. We're going to hear him talking from his prison or from jail. We're going to hear prison conversations today. We're going to hear about escapes. We're going to see confessions, all of that. So whoever's not here today, I think you're missing out, people. Definitely missing out. All right, here we go. I'm going back to this because I want you to see the many faces of this crazy guy. All right, so I'm going to share the entire screen window. Here it is. Let's get it back on there. All right. Hello, everyone. Missed the lives. And I love when people know about this story. He essayed many women in Florida and assaulted, etc., etc., etc. Only got slaps on the wrist. Now, as you can see in the pictures there, he's a baby. He's got a baby face below. And the baby face below turns into an older baby face and then a man with a ton of tattoos. And yes, I'm doing the damn thing. You're right. What's up, Pam Duvall? What is random, or is that animal victim? What? Hey, Jay, guilty crime. Was it random or did this animal? No, it was a spree. It was random. And I haven't even told you the story yet, folks. This is just the introduction. As I'm waiting for everyone to roll in, I want you to, I don't want to have to tell it over and over. So I'm kind of showing pictures, giving you a little bit of verbal leakage, so you know what you're gonna be seeing today. And yeah, I'm talking straight up RA. Yep. And this dude was out of jail one day and did this. So there you go. KA pieces. As I showed the pictures, I'll leave that up. And like I said, Wade Wilson, Cape Coral, straight up murder spree. No ifs, ands, or buts. He just probably was on some really good something and he just went for it. So I'm going to tell you, you saw the victims there. I want you to see the many faces of him. You know, you can, when you see this, you know that they've been arrested many times. These are all mug shots. Now, this is him currently. This is how we're going to see this guy in court. You can see some of the things on his face. Down here, it says something war. He's a supposed white supremacist. He's got a swastika on him. So this is him currently. And then some of his, when he did the crime, this is how old he was, and this is how he looked without all the face tattoos. There's the beautiful victims for no reason. State to seek the death penalty against Wade Wilson. You guys don't need to know his name. If you just want to call him the tattoo-faced double murder guy or the tattoo-faced guy that's going to get the death penalty, by all means. This guy's a monster. These beautiful women got their lives taken for no reason at all. 2019, same day, he went on a spree. And yeah, let's tell the story now, and I'm going to show you. All right, so as I keep them up, yeah, please, that drug is horrible. Florida has a lot of those horrible drugs. Let's see what you say. I'll stop leaking and let you know. Leak it. KI pieces. Did I sound like I was? No, leak it. Absolutely. I'm having a good time with y'all today, telling this story appropriate. Yeah, we'll call him the tattooed face devil, folks. I love tattoos, right? See, I'm tatted up. I actually wish I could show you more, but I'll get in trouble on YouTube. All right, so yeah, he's a sicko. He's a two-faced or tattooed faced double murder and many more things that we're going to talk about. So as the victims were up, let me tell you a real quick chronological order, and then I'm going to show you. All right, we got the victims, Kristine Melton, Diane, Ruiz. All right, timeline of murders were October 7th. I already told you on the same date that Kristine got murdered. Also, Diana did too. I guess I should have said unalived. She disappeared while walking to work. 3 days later, they found her. Wade Wilson's charges. Wilson was indicted in November of 2019 on multiple charges, including 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder. All right. Court documents accuse him of strangling both women to death. Now, when you talk about that, that's a sick individual right there. Going on, they released when he was still high. They didn't release him. He's been all over the place. Okay. Now, when you strangle somebody and you've got these 2 ladies that were just picked at random, strangling them is a very personal act most of the time. When someone gets strangled, it's something that someone does that has disdain for you, right? So, he didn't. He just wanted to. He probably used to look like Ted Bundy. Yeah, you can see pictures of him. I'm going to show you. Florida and Texas have an express lane for the death penalty. Jurors have been picked. I have a feeling he's going to get it. All right, so you see the victims there as I'm telling this story, and I'll put him back up. I tell you the charges, and then I'll tell you the timeline, and then I'm going to show you everything and more that you probably didn't want to know about this guy. All right, so look at him here. You can see the booking. He looks like a little boy right there. And then you go from that, he starts getting even more tatted and growing up to, now I'm going to leave it on this so you can see. There is the swastika on the other side of his face. It says bread. So this is white supremacist shit that he's talking here. Bread for something. He's talking KKK, white supremacy, swastika stuff. He's promoting that. So I'm not sure why one of the victims he did. It's definitely not a crime of passion. Normally, crime of passion would be, but that's not a crime of passion. He didn't even know these ladies. The girlfriend's mom had charges against his name is Mila. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, KA Pieces, because as we go, if there are people that want to come on my channel and talk about this as trial starts to happen and they can't get news coverage, I'm here for them. I am going to cover this case all the way through. It's 2 adult women that should not have had their lives taken. Florida loves the death penalty. They do. He tried to kidnap her and failed. Then he ran into Diane walking to work. All right. So we now know what he's indicted on. At the time of the indictment, Wilson was already in custody on unrelated battery charges. Okay. So in between his murder spree, he went and did something else. Battery charges means, something violent. Who knows? Fighting, could have been anything. So he gets charged again. Luckily, they had him locked up and they indicted him for strangling Kristine and Diane. Now, this happened in November of 2019. He did the crime October. So they did a pretty good job of catching him. He wasn't too sneaky or anything. You guys are going to sit here with me, listen to jail calls, watch. You're going to see his confession. If you can go to trial, that'd be awesome. If you get any footage, please get that over to me. The word says insert beard here. Yeah. An argument got out of hand, catching a spouse cheating. I don't know what we're talking about here, but that's not what this, the word is bread, meaning born and bred. Okay, that's what it is. Bread. I knew it was bread. I thought it meant like bread to be white or bread, something about being bred. But all right, Mila and her friend Amy, whom I know were witnesses. I watched the jury selection and heard the witnesses. Awesome, because that's what we're going to lead up to. That's where we're going to end on today is jury selection. because there's such a backstory that it's not even funny. And most of the people don't know because nobody's even put an episode about this. I couldn't find anything. All right. So this guy strangles these two women October 7, 2019, gets indicted November 2019 while he's in jail on unrelated charges. And then a year later in October 2020, Wilson faced additional charges for trying to escape jail. This guy's a nutcase, man. He and another inmate allegedly tried to escape jail. This is all alleged, right? This is while awaiting trial. Wilson contacted Scripps News Fort multiple times. He claimed to have been connected to a high-level human trafficking ring and suggested the group framed him for the murders of Kristine and Diane as a punishment for trying to leave them. In the pretrial motion, he also requested facial makeup to cover up the tattoos that might be objectionable to potential jurors, and the judge granted his request. Then they grant his request, and he says, never mind. So currently, Wilson's trial began, and jury selection has happened, and he faces the death penalty if convicted. All right, so there we are. We're going to go way back. That's loud. We're gonna. I know I'm loud, but that's a loud. This is the loud one here. So let's lower that a little bit. And you know me, I always like to do the 1.25. We're gonna drop this down, and we're gonna start the show without my mouth. All right, let's remove this, and you're gonna actually hear and see all the things. We're gonna go back to him being a suspect to this, and then we're gonna lead all the way up to jury trial, folks. All right. So you have to know his story to know what the heck's going on. This guy, and I'm going to tell you this was 4 years ago. Okay. And it says a South Florida woman came forward about alleged abuse from 25-year-old Wade Wilson, who was named Friday as the person of interest in two recent homicides in Southwest Florida. Let's go.
Story out of Southwest Florida with ties to Palm Beach County. A man in jail right now is considered a person of interest in two deaths. Wade Wilson is behind bars on other charges, including burglary and battery in Lee County. WPTV News Channel 5's Jillian Idle spoke to an ex-girlfriend in Palm Beach County who says she had her own violent experiences with him. Jillian.
And Wade Wilson has an extensive criminal history. Record shows since 2010, he's been arrested more than 20 times throughout the state of Florida with charges like burglary and trespassing, also fraud and assault. He's even spent time here in the Palm Beach County Jail.
He called me the day he got out of jail recently.
Kelly Matthews last spoke to Wade Wilson in August of this year after he was arrested in July for sexual battery and abuse towards another girlfriend at the time. Those charges were later dropped after Wilson spent a month in jail. Earlier this week, investigators arrested the 25-year-old yet again in Southwest Florida, this time for burglary and battery. Matthews says she isn't surprised.
He was arrested for robbing me in December. He robbed me and took off with a friend of mine to Texas. So they went after him for that, and he got probation.
Then 2 months later, she says things got much worse. She claims he kidnapped her, took her to the Keys, and sexually assaulted her.
I thought he was going to kill me that night.
Matthews says she's been in contact with Wilson's dad since learning that he could have a connection to two homicides in Cape Coral. Friday, Cape Coral police named him a person of interest in the disappearance and death of Diane Ruiz.
You see how I am starting from the beginning? I gave you my synopsis. That was all over the place because that's Jay from Guilty of Crime. I just spout it out, get through it, cut through the BS, tell you what, who, when, and if I know a why, the why. And now the show begins because I'm a visual person, and we're going to go all the way through. We're going to listen to him in his jail calls, all the different lies. What's up, Scott McGill? Everyone's having a great day. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. I appreciate everybody that comes in and says that. He robbed his ex. I don't doubt it. Ellie Wright, Puerto Ricans are sexy. Yeah. Let's see. Who else put a Puerto Rican flag in the chat if any of y'all are Puerto Rican. All right. I think that may be one of the reasons people assigned me to the Madeline Soto case was because of my ethnicity and my outreach. When you have ties or you're Hispanic, Maddie was her grandpa was Puerto Rican, so she was part Puerto Rican, and then whatever Jen Soto is. So a lot of people identify with people that when you have somebody Hispanic or Puerto Rican in the same community, they want you to cover that, right? You're a Cubanita, Acapulco. All right, folks, let's keep going. There are the victims, and we got a wild ride today, so buckle up or put your headphones in, your whatever you got to do.
Ruiz and Kristine Melton. Now, police say a critical piece of evidence that's linking Wilson to these two recent homicides is a car that surveillance video has picked up of him driving. That's a black Nissan Versa with unknown Florida tags. Live right now in West Palm Beach, Jillian Idle, WPTV News Channel 5.
All right, we're going to stop sharing that and turn that off. There's a bunch of little clips, so we're going to have to do that together to piece it together. Yeah, that's how we're gonna roll today. I've got them all downloaded, but we're doing this in chronological order so you can see as this progressed. We're putting this together as a timeline since nobody else has. Couldn't find anything on him, and I figured storytelling with visuals is the best for me. So here's 4 years ago. Possible confession from Wade Wilson could hold up in court. Now, this is right after he was a person of interest. This is the next thing that happened.
Consequential confession from Wade Wilson seen here. He is the person of interest in the deaths of two women in Cape Coral, Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz.
His ex-girlfriend, Melissa Montanez, claims he owned up to the murders over the phone when he called her from jail yesterday. Well, tonight we asked a lawyer if this potential confession could hold up in court. Let's get right to Fox 4's Jillian Hartman, live outside the Lee County Jail with the details. Jillian?
What do y'all think so far? A little bit crazy. Wait till we get into the jail calls. I see 122 people. There was 100 and almost 40. Hit that like button, folks. Come on in. Don't be afraid to watch this. You're gonna want to know about this later when the trial starts and you see his tattooed face all over court TV and people talking about him. Late to the party, however you hit the like button. You're not that late. We just started. We've got a person of interest, and now there's a possible confession. Guilty of crime. You ever said making a comic book? Well, I kind of did. Check out my book. All right. Thank you, Bree, for emailing me the article. Maybe I'll get a chance to take a look. Where's Jen Soto? I have a story about that, and we just hit a 111 mark, which means let's say a wish, make a wish, put some good vibes out. All right. No, we're not talking about Jen Soto today, but I still would like to have an audience so you know those coming and is a trigger warning. This whole case is a trigger warning, folks. If you see this guy, you should know it's a trigger warning. All right, let's go.
Well, Jane, the lawyer I spoke with says
yeah, this is the possible confession, and we heard that they were strangled. So listen to this. They're going to show it.
Also told that the phone calls they make from inside the jail are recorded for security purposes, which means Wade Wilson's possible confession could be used against him in court.
He admitted over the phone to me that he killed both of those women.
Tonight, I asked lawyer Mike Chinopoulos if that potential bombshell admission could be used in court.
I believe that there is no legal reason to stop them from using it in the courtroom.
He says every inmate, including Wade Wilson, is told their phone conversations are recorded.
And that is the very reason the conversation will get in, because he knew it was recorded. He had no expectation of privacy.
He says in his experience, a full confession over a recorded line is rare.
It's not often that people do that. Their lawyers tell them not to do that. Hey, that's a recorded line. Don't even tell me stuff over.
Now, if you guys want to talk about that and then Richard Allen, that's a whole other story, but I think they have the right guy. Thank you, VC Wants a Pony, for becoming a new member. Buckle up. This is a good one. We're going to hear some jail call after this jail call, and it's like 30 minutes long. So this guy's crazy. All of this is crazy. then he confesses, and then after that he says that they made him they set him up, and he's all over the place. He's a mental case, obviously.
For that line.
Another ex-girlfriend, Kelly Matthews, tells us Wilson confessed to the murders to his dad as well.
If the tape recorded conversation is true and admissible, and then that leads to the admissibility of the father's statement, I think it's very powerful and damning evidence that would be nearly impossible for defense to overcome with a jury.
Tonight, we are still working to confirm that phone call between Wilson and Montanus happened yesterday. At this time, the state attorney's office says they can't give confirmation because it's still an active case. Now, if that phone conversation is true, Chinop.
Oh, we're going to see more, folks. This is just the beginning about his confession, and I'm sure it's going to make it into court because it's not the last time you're going to hear about this.
Says it gives the state a reasonable basis to charge Wilson for the deaths of Diane Ruiz and Kristine Melton. So I asked him, when could we see those potential charges upgraded?
I think they're taking this time to build their case. I think they're going slowly, not because they're trying to delay, but because they're trying to put their case together in such a way as to maximize the possibility of success.
Now, the lawyer also tells me that Wade Wilson could face a death penalty in these two cases.
And now we know he is, because trial technically started. But next week, if you're still in here, Kay, I think your name's K.A., please keep me posted on anything that you have. Or if you go to court, anything. I'd love to see some pictures or hear any inside information in that area. I'm in California, so I'm way far from that. Can you drop the member link, please? Yes, Davey or Bree or any of the mods, would you drop the member link, please? Stacy, thank you. She definitely doesn't want to miss being a member here, folks. Bree, yeah, the member link. How to become a member. Davey says, what? What's a member link? Bree, would you drop the link to become a member, please? Thank you. All right. Let's keep going. I appreciate you, Stacy.
He says if the recorded conversation is real and if the judge rules it admissible, he thinks Wade Wilson will likely take a plea deal. Now, tonight, Wade Wilson remains in the Lee County Jail. Reporting live in Fort Myers.
Nope, he's not going to take a plea deal, folks. Not going to take a plea deal at all. So right now, we're point of interest, possible confession. And now we're going to 4 years ago, Fox News talk to this guy, and these are rare moments when you get interviews like this, and when you get the story of something that happens 4 years later that there was like almost no coverage on at all. So we'll listen to this, and we'll also talk. I want to interact with you. I'm in it for the long haul today, however long it takes me to fill you in all the way up until trial.
An inmate in the Lee County Jail. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, this telephone call may be monitored or recorded. If you are an attorney and hearing this message, please hang up and call the Corrections Services Division at 239-258-3626. Thank you for using TTL.
Hello.
All right, here we go. So this is Wade Wilson on the phone. Fox 4 did an awesome interview, and we're going to hear it. This is so cool. You don't get that very often. And I love cases like this where I just dig up things. And yeah, KA Pieces, you're not a member. It says you're a member, but you're actually not a member. You're a subscriber, but you're not a member yet. Jungle Mom just became a new member. Thank you, KA. I hope you get maybe gifted a membership today. No plea offer extended to this school. We're going to find out, but we're going to trial. So there's no plea deal. There's nothing. There's no plea. He didn't plead that he's trial starting. It already started jury selection. He didn't plea anything. Yeah. With the confession, they thought so. I thought it went through. Do you have the link now? If somebody could drop the link. It didn't go through yet. Maybe refresh, but you are a new member. You will be a new member soon. I'll make sure that happens. All right, let's listen. Excuse me. Listen to this guy.
Hey, is this Wade?
Hey, this is Wade. How's it
Hi,
going?
this is Rochelle with Fox 4. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good, Rochelle. How are you?
I'm good. Wade, really quickly, I just wanted to confirm, are you okay that we're recording and going to broadcast this interview? Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you confirm, just to make sure it's you, can you just confirm your date of birth, day, month, and year?
Yes, my date
date of birth is May 20th, 1994.
Okay. And you're currently in the Lee County Jail?
Thank you.
I am, yes, ma'am.
All right. Wade, I mean, I hate to get to the heavy stuff right off the bat, but this is a question of law.
All right. Before we get into the heavy stuff, trigger warning. Thank you, Not the Mama, for the super sticker. He does sound much older. He this was 4 years ago, and then wait until when trial starts. You're gonna look like a different man. She does talk too fast, so I put it on normal speed, folks. I'm not gonna let you guys suffer here. He now will only do interviews if he is paid. Well, luckily we have this interview and we're all listening to it together because we're definitely not going to pay this guy for anything. Let's go.
A lot of people at home have been asking us, they want to know the answer to. So I just want to ask you right off the bat. People wanted to know, are you guilty of those murders? Did you commit those murders concerning Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz?
No, ma'am, I did not commit these murders, and I'm innocent. I did not, no, ma'am.
So take us through, can you take me through October 6th through the 8th? From the start of October 6th to the day of your arrest.
So let me kind of start to tell you, can I go ahead and just speak a little bit? Is that okay?
No, go for it. Tell me.
Okay, please. So, the night of October 6th, the 6th, on the 6th, October 6th, so we went to, me and Mila, we went to a bar called Buddha, right? And we went to the Buddha, and we were there for a little while, maybe 2 or 3 hours we had been there.
All right, so I'm assuming Mila is his current girlfriend at the time with what K8 Pisces says. So we're going to say Mila is his girlfriend, and this is his story. Yeah, I saw a couple new members here, and you'll come up, KA. I can't wait for you to keep coming back and following this with us.
And to let everybody know, I did leave the Buddha with Kristen, okay? I left with Kristen, and we actually, it was me, it was Kristen, it was one of her friends, Kristen's friends, who I don't know the name of. I'm not sure what her name is. And also another individual, which was a guy that was at the Buddha as well. He was there. He came with us, so we all left. Me and Mila have a 2016 Dodge Hellcat, and we all left in the Hellcat, and we went to and the guy that I'm telling you about, I don't know his name. I'm not sure who he was. I'm not sure what his name is. He was an individual that we all met at the Buddha, and but we went to his house first, and he lives off McGregor, and we went to his house, and we partied a little bit at his house, and me and Kristen were intimate, and Kristen's friend and the man that I'm speaking of, they were kind of just like in the other room talking amongst themselves with each other, while me and Kristen.
All right, so now he's making up stories, obviously. Thank you for a 5 gifted memberships. I appreciate that. And thank you for the article, Bree. I do have that coming up. There's a letter that says that he left his victims looking like spaghetti. So yeah, we'll get to all that. I want all the video instead of the articles. Yeah, I can share that if it doesn't come up for some reason, but I'm pretty sure it's there. Again, thank you for the memberships. Thank you, VC. You're awesome. I see some new members here. All right, let's listen to his made up story. He does say that he knows Kristen, which was the lady with the blonde hair, one of his victims, and the other one must have just been random.
Like I said, we were intimate together, and then we were there at his house for a little while. Like I said, and then we went to leave his house. So now it was just me, Kristen, and her friend, and we were going to leave his house, and we were going to leave, like I said, in the Hellcat, and it just so happened that the Hellcat was actually out of gas. We ran out of gas. So we pulled out of his driveway, and we went down the road a little bit, but we didn't even make it off his road. We were still on his street. The Hellcat broke down. We pulled it over into the side of the grass, and then Kristen called for an Uber ride for all of us. And so she called for the Uber, and we went from there, from the Hellcat in the Uber to Kristen's house. Me, her, and her friend, Kristen's friend. And we got to the house, and we were all there just hanging out. And then Kristen's friend actually left the house. She said that she had work or whatnot the following day, and she had to go. So she eventually left. She called. I think her car was there, and she drove away in her vehicle. And again, me and Kristen were continuing to be intimate together.
Yeah, I mean, he's already lying, making up stories, and of course he's going to say he was intimate with Kristen, because if they found DNA, he's going to say, "Oh yeah, we were intimate." And it's funny that he even uses the word intimate and tries to act proper, and then he name drops, "Oh yeah, we have the Hellcat." Like, this guy's a piece of work. He's one of those jokesters that tries to be cool and tries to be something that he's not. Some little white boy from his parents probably had money, and he chose instead to go out and tattoo his face and do bad. Scott, hello, welcome everyone coming in. Be sure to hit that thank you for our girl Jay. I appreciate y'all. All right, let's listen to more of his lies. Now, when he says they're intimate, that equals he wants to justify why his DNA is on her body.
And this went on for, I don't know, me and her together maybe an hour.
Yes.
And, now it's maybe, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around then. And, like I said, I mentioned to you earlier that my vehicle was out of gas. So now my vehicle is all the way in McGregor on a...
All right, telling more stories, but he was in jail for battery on unrelated charges when they convicted him, but I'm not sure what you mean. What had he been in jail for up until the day he was probably drug or battery charges? He has lots of different charges. We're going to get through the whole story, but most of his charges are violent and drugs. And we're going way back now. So right now we're already we're starting in 2019 and we're working up to 2024.
On the street, of the guy, the house that we went to with the man. So I have to get my car,
My Hellcat.
Anyway, so I asked Kristen if it's okay for me to bring her phone and her car, because I wanted to get my car out of there, because it's an expensive car. I'm not familiar with that road. I don't want my car there. I don't want it on the side of the road. I don't want it to get towed. So I was trying to figure something out with that. So she let me use her vehicle, and I told her that I would be back. I would come back, and that was okay with her. And so
Sure.
I left, and I wasn't exactly sure where off McGregor my car was. Like, I didn't know the name of the road or anything like that. So I called Mila, and I was going to meet with Mila and have her help me, because she's actually from Fort Myers. I'm not from here. Have her help me.
Remember, folks, let's refer to Deception Detective when you are using the deck. While I'm listening to this, I'm going to pull some things out of the deck and tell you things that he's doing out of the 52 deck cards that he's doing in this video. And it's just outrageous, the story that he's telling. He's told nothing so far other than the fact that they were intimate, so he can hide the fact that his DNA was on her, and then talk about her letting him use the Hellcat, which was stolen. So he's telling nothing, and it's not helping him.
Find the vehicle. And so I went to Mila's. We have a place called Mila Spa. It's right in front of Joe's Crab Shack, downtown Fort Myers. And so I went there to meet her. I don't really want to get into specifics about anything that happened or did not happen, with me and Mila. Obviously I left. I got there, left Mila, and I left. I left the area. So that's the beginning half of the story that I wanted to tell you. Did you get all of that?
I did. So I just want to confirm with you, the last time you saw Kristine Melton, she was alive.
Correct. She was. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So far, his story has said nothing other than I left DNA on her and she let me use the car that I stole. A lot of fragmented sentences that he uses that liars often leave out words in order to mislead without directly lying. If a sentence is fragmented, especially in a way that's grammatically awkward. It may be deceptive. Now, we know this whole portion of this was deceptive because all he said was a couple of words other than and I don't know. He didn't tell us when he said, did you get that? Not really. I didn't hear anything he said other than she let him use her car and she was alive when he left. Okay.
And this was around, like I said, this when I left her house, this was around either 5 or 6, one of the two. I'm not entirely sure, but it was early morning, definitely.
Okay. What happened next?
Sure. You said what?
So I know you said you
What
didn't want to
happened?
talk about it, but I just have to ask. Mila said that when you met up with her in Kristine's car, that there was a physical altercation, that you beat her. Are you going to tell us any more about that? Can you confirm that? Are you going to admit to that?
I don't want to talk about that at the moment. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. I can tell you this much. I didn't beat her. I can tell you that. So this is something. Let me go into a little further detail with that situation. I mean, like I said, I don't really wish to speak on that entirely right now. Maybe when you and I have a visit and we sit down in front of each other, that would be something that I could talk further with. But I do want to include, and whether or not you decide to use this is up to you.
Okay.
Maybe 4 or 5 months ago, Mila, she pressed charges against me, saying the same thing that I guess she's saying now. And just to let you know, actually 4 or 5 months ago, she went to the state attorney's office and she filed to dismiss the charges because they were untrue. And so she actually had it thrown out. So this is not, just to let you know, this is not the first time that she's decided that she's wanted to do something of this nature.
Okay.
It's not the first time.
So after you left you saw Mila, after you left, what happens next, Wade?
So far, he's really told us nothing, and he's trying to cover it up and get his story out that he did nothing wrong and take back the confession, which we're going to see later again in writing. So he admitted unaliving Melton to his father. Thank you, Princess Bitch. Thank you for that, Mila. It's disgusting in the police report. Yeah, we're going to see all that. It's coming out in court, folks. This is leading up to that.
Okay, so after leaving Mila, I called Mila. I called Mila and asked her, what was going on, and she actually told me she was like, to put it simply, she told me more that she was unhappy with me. First of all, because of the previous night, she was unhappy with me for leaving with another woman. She didn't like that at all, and so I could kind of tell by her voice and the way that she was talking that it wasn't sounding good. And like I told you, what she had done to me 4 or 5 months ago, this is not uncommon. This is something that
she had done something to him, I'm sure. So this one's good. The explanation card, and that's all I feel like he said the whole entire interview so far. I wouldn't pay him a penny for this interview, by the way. It's terrible. But his explanation, liars tend to offer explanations for why things happen, revealing their insecurity and expectation of disbelief. Do you hear how he's explaining every single detail? So in contrast, individuals using present facts, straightforward, and allowing the truth to stand on its own. If a story includes superfluous explanations, it might be a sign of deception. Now, he's got this way too detailed out that we're losing sight of the actual story. And I appreciate that K.A. Pisces and Princess Mitch are filling us in because he's not really saying anything. And thank you, O Biscuits. I appreciate that. Let's listen to the rest of his story.
Tends to do. So it was not sounding good. So anyways, long story short, I don't know where my car is. It's somewhere off McGregor. I can't find it. I don't know where this guy's house is. I can't find his house. I can't find the car. Any of these things. So, but I'm still trying to. So now I'm kind of in a frenzy because of Mila, how she's talking, what she's sounding like she's gonna do. Everything is not sounding good with her. And so I don't
What does that
want
mean?
to be around her. I don't want to be anywhere near her when she's acting this way. So just, I'm really just trying to find the car now at this point. Anyways, so and the other problem, there was another issue as well, Rochelle. The other issue was that Kristen, here's the problem. I'm not from here. I couldn't remember exactly where she lived. And this was like another big issue for me because I was trying to get back to her house, but not knowing where she lived wouldn't permit me to do so. So
he keeps saying he's trying to get there, and he's doing this, and he's over here, and it's like he's trying to find it. Where is this guy, in the jungle? Did someone drop him off in the woods somewhere, and he's got like this hacksaw, and he's trying to find his way back to a car, and there's like a jungle cat jumping at him, and then a snake that came up, and he's trying to like creep through and find his way back. I'm really confused at what he's talking about. Yeah, justice for these lovely ladies. I have no idea what he's talking about. He's trying to get away from the fact that he RA'd or SA'd her. He just and making up lies, telling everybody. Yeah, I hope if it is funny. It sounds like he's cutting through the jungle and crawling through the woods, and he's gonna do like an army crawl, and he's got all these obstacles to get to. Like, what are you talking about, bro? I don't even know what's going on. I had a dream like that. What? Just nonsense. It's a way to catch liars. Yeah, and I have this, and I'm looking up the deck. There's so many of them. All right, let's keep listening to his adventures in Wade Wilson land.
That wasn't working out very well for me either. And the bad thing about it was I had her phone, and so there was no way for me to call her, which would not have mattered anyways because I didn't know her phone number. So that wouldn't have mattered anyways. But listen, Rochelle.
That sounds like a bad dream. You know, those dreams where you can't talk and you're like, I gotta say something, but I couldn't. Like, this is just like a bunch of nonsense. But then he didn't know her number. Wow, it just gets worse and worse for this poor guy. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid. This guy's off his rocker. And I think he's an habitual liar. He's a narcissist, and he habitually lies. So he just doesn't even realize that everyone else knows he's lying.
I don't know how much more in detail I can go, but I would like to do a visit and talk to you face to face.
Yeah,
I want to give you the first half of the story. Obviously, there's another half to it,
right?
Which I don't mind giving you as well. I would like to.
Yeah, I guess just one question before we continue though is why did you have Kristine's phone with you?
Hold on, Marcel, you're breaking up just a little bit. I can't hear you too well.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Yeah. Why did you have Kristine's phone with you when you left to go find your car?
The reason that I had her phone was because, first of all, she said I could take it. That was the first thing. She didn't mind. I could take her car, I could take her phone, because I needed to call Mila.
You know how that goes when people just give you their Hellcat. Dude like that, give him the Hellcat, give him the phone, but then you have a phone and you don't know the number, but you can't get to the car because there's all these other cars in the way and tall buildings, and you have to hop over. What is he talking about? He never gave us the first half of any story.
Because Mila wasn't, it's the spa that we meet up at, and she was not there, obviously, and so I had to be able to call her to talk to her, ask her where she was. Can we meet up at the spa? And I don't have my own phone. I don't actually have a phone, so that was the reason behind that.
Oh, gotcha. Got it.
Did you know Kristine before that night, or did you guys just meet at the Buddha?
No, we just met at the Buddha. That was the first time that we had met. I didn't know her previously before that.
Okay. So you have her phone, you have her car, you don't remember where she lives. What happens next? What do you do next?
That's all he said.
What I do next was drive around and try to find her house. That's what I did. And it took a little while.
Why did you have Kristine's phone with you when you left to go find your car?
The reason that I had her phone was because, first of all, she said I could take it. That was the first thing. She didn't mind. I could take her car, I could take her phone. Because I needed to call Mila, because Mila wasn't, it's the spa that we meet up at, and she was not there, obviously, and so I had to be able to call her to talk to her, ask her where she was. Can we meet up at the spa? And I don't have my own phone. I don't actually have a phone, so that was the reason behind that.
Gotcha. Had
Yeah, he really hasn't told us anything. We've got assessing stories here, which is another card. If you're learning anything, you just learn that when a guy like this talks to you and he tells you a story. I mean, we got 30 minutes of this, so we're gonna listen to it together. I lowered it a little bit. You guys can lower it. He hasn't really told anything. Um, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything at all. And this guy is just completely trying to remember things. This is reasonableness. There's nothing reasonable about this right here. So you can assess whether the actions described are plausible for a person in the given circumstance. Like I said, as I hear him talk, it sounds like he's in the jungle with a hacksaw and there's snakes coming at him, and it's like the giant rock rolling over to so that makes no sense. His tone, I don't even know about his tone. It doesn't align. There's no inconsistencies because he hasn't told us anything. And the only thing that he has said is that, oh yeah, she gave me a phone and the Hellcat and I'm trying to get back to it, but I didn't have my own phone. That's why. What? He's running the streets but doesn't own a phone. He's a bum to make a lot. Yeah. He's not making sense. I can't wait to hear more and get more into the story.
Did you know Kristine before that night, or did you guys just meet at the Buddha?
No, we just met at the Buddha. That was the first time that we had met. I didn't know her previously before that.
Okay. So you have her phone, you have her car, you don't remember where she lives. What happens next? What do you do next?
Wow.
What I do next was drive around and try to find her house. That's what I did. And it took a little while. Actually took a couple hours, I don't know. Just trying to find the road, trying to find her house. I know what her house looks like. I remember, but I can't find the road. And so yes, that's really all. Rochelle, that's all I want to tell you about for now, if that's okay.
So I just want to confirm something at the end there. Sure. So you were able to find her house. Did you just return the car and leave the phone inside and walk away? Like, how did that work out?
I was unable to find her house. I was not able to find it.
So what did you do with the car and her phone?
Well, I drove to, like I said, I'm not from here, so I'm unfamiliar with the territory. But I drove to
Does anyone else notice that when she asks a question, he answers it with either a question or he answers it with another like complete story? It says, oh, like I said. So long prologue, and we're going to keep listening to this, but liars often spend a lot of time leading up to fabricated part of the story. So he hasn't told any of the story, really. We have no idea what the story is until I tell you. And as we go through this, so this is usually a subconscious effort to delay the stress that comes with lying. So if a story contains more than 1/3 prologue or background information, it might indicate deception. I think this long prologue is going to be the card of the day for the Wade Wilson phone call, because literally he hasn't told us anything. You're right, Astara. He's just saying words. He hasn't said anything, and that's a long prologue. It's just a fabricated story with a bunch of words that mean nothing. Good looking out, people. I'm glad you guys are paying attention. It's going to get a lot more crazy.
A friend of mine's business, which I'm sure everyone knows about. I mean, you guys have been reporting it. Everyone's been talking about it. So it's nothing like new. I mean, you already know. I went to his business and I sat there with the vehicle and didn't really know like what else to do. First of all, because Mila is.
Yeah, you know that time when you went to the club and someone gave you their phone and their car and was like, "Hey, here you go. See you later." And not going to give you the address, and MapQuest doesn't exist. He sounds like there was no MapQuest, or this was 2019, folks. I don't know what drugs he is on or was on, but just keep sight of the story that this man, this devil, this demon strangled 2 women, and he did it in a very, well, I don't think you could do it in anything other than a terrible fashion. He did it in a fashion that was like he was taking his anger out on these 2 women, and unbelievable that he took it out on somebody that would let him use their Hellcat in a car and be so nice to him that he would even do that. So I wonder what anger, where that came from, or why he just went out and did that to Diane. She was out on a walk and he did that to her. We haven't even talked about her yet.
The only other girl, she's the only person that I have in Fort Myers. She's mad at me. She's upset. So that was not an option. So I used to work. I was employed by Mateo Graphics. And, so I went over there because I knew how to actually get there.
Okay.
And that's where I believe the police, I guess, had found the vehicle.
So based on the police reports we're getting, that you were found shirtless and covered in blood inside of that home. Is that true?
Sure. That is actually not true. No, it's not. And actually, when I was found inside of that home, I was completely dressed. I had a shirt on. I wasn't bloody. I wasn't anything. Here's the second half of the story that everybody's wanting to know. And then obviously you're saying, did I have anything to do with these two murders? Are they tragic? Yes, they are. Did I have anything to do with them? No, it's not. And is it tragic that I'm sitting in jail and people honestly think that I'm a monster? Yes, it is. That's wrong. But so the second half of the story is I was driving around looking for Kristen's house. Okay. And so I'm driving around at this point in time around Cape Coral. And yes, I did run into Diane. And yes, I did meet her. And yes, I did see her. But I didn't have anything to do with her death.
Okay, so here's the second half of the story, which is the second victim he's talking about is Diane. And while he was on his mission to find whatever he was trying to find, he ran into poor Diane, and boy, did he run into her. So yeah, this is the second half of the story, which means the second victim.
The only thing that had happened was I asked her for directions, trying to kind of get a general view of where I was at, because now at this point I'm in Cape Coral looking for Kristen's house. I can't find her house. I know what it looks like. I vaguely know what the streets around it look like and the houses around it look like, but I don't know how to get there. But now I have another issue. Mila is not answering the phone. She's mad at me. She's upset. She doesn't want to answer the phone. So I'm kind of stuck a little bit in Cape Coral. And can't I could find my way back, but it was a problem. I was having trouble with directions, to say the least. And
very much so.
I asked her for directions, and is there anything you want to ask me, or do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to just follow up on that. So describe that encounter. Was she just walking down the side of the street? What time was it? How did that work?
What time it was? It was early morning. I mean, I can't give you an exact time. I really can't.
Yeah.
7 or 8 maybe in the morning.
And this is Monday morning?
And yes, correct. Yes.
Okay.
Of the 7th, correct?
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, of the morning. Yes.
So you're driving, it's early in the morning, you don't know where you're going, then what happens next?
Okay, what happens next is I asked her for directions, and she was trying to help me figure out where I was.
She was trying to help him figure out where he was at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, because it took him from 9 o'clock the night before to find the car and be able to figure out how to use the phone and call someone. But in the meantime, he strangled one victim and then brutally essayed and strangled, it sounds like, the other one, which we're still getting into. But he is innocent. Well, he is innocent until proven guilty. So this is all alleged, but all night long, yes, high as and a stolen car. He's just digging himself up, and just wait, it gets even better. None of us believe him, and when he goes to trial, he's one of those guys that's probably going to take the stand, even when, of course, he's going to be advised not to. You're absolutely right. None of this makes any sense, and there's only two halves to it. First half is he stole the first victim's car and murdered her. Second half, he found his next victim, but he hasn't told us what he did to her yet. She was so nice to give him directions to wherever he was going, looking for 12 hours.
Was, first of all, ask asked her how to get back to Fort Myers, and just, where I'm at. She helped me out with the directions, and then she actually asked me for a ride. She was going to work, I believe, and she had asked me for a ride. So I gave her a ride, and it was a short, it wasn't even far that I had given her a ride, maybe a 5-minute drive. And I dropped her off, and I believe that it was at a bus stop, so I believe that she was getting on the bus, and that was it with her.
And do you remember what was around you? Do you kind of have an idea of like where you dropped her off, where that bus stop was?
Was that where?
Do you have an idea of where that bus stop was, where you dropped her off?
No. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the area. No, ma'am.
Okay. So you dropped her off, and again, the last time you saw Diane Ruiz, she was alive as well?
Yes, she was alive. Yes, correct. Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
So after that happens, where do you go next? After you drop Diane off, what happens next?
Okay. What happens after that is then, let's see. What happens next is she gave me directions on how to get back to Fort Myers, and that was enough for me to. I couldn't find Kristine.
Yeah, he couldn't find Kristine or anything, and then Diane asked for a ride, and then he dropped her off at the bus stop, even though she was going for a walk that morning, folks. So yeah, he definitely is going to dig himself a hole, and I hope that he gets the death penalty in this case. As we progress even longer, this guy is something else. Does he know how many steps he's taken through all this? Yeah, if this was murder, he might. His story does make zero sense. The only thing that I hear is that he met 2 women that ended up dead at the hands of him in the same night. So that is what makes sense. But they framed him. Remember that he's framed by people that didn't want him out of this KKK group or not human trafficking group that he was in. They didn't want him out, and since he got out of it, they framed him.
House. So I kind of gave up on that. My second thought was that I would go
What are the odds?
and try to meet back up with Mila and figure out what to do next. First of all, we have to get our car. Second of all, I have to return this car to Kristine. And so these are the things that I have to do. So I go back to Fort Myers, and I think I believe that I went back to Mateo Graphics, and that's across the bridge in Fort Myers, like I said, where I used to be employed. And I parked the vehicle there. I went inside Mateo Graphics, called Mila, but did not go back to meet up with her again. And then, let's see, leaving.
So his girlfriend's Mila, and he essayed her, right? But Kristine's another girl that gave him her car and phone and ended up dead. And then Diane's the one that also ended up murdered, but he dropped her off at the bus because she was going to work. Is that right?
In the car there, I left the business and walked on foot, and that was it. The rest, there's really not much left to the story after that.
You didn't even tell us.
They said that they found me, and I guess I had blood on me.
Yes.
The first thing is, to be honest with you, this is not true. If there was any blood on me, it was from myself, because I do personal training, and my hands, I had been doing push-ups on the ground on asphalt, which was not smart of me, but I did, and I had
when you do push-ups on the asphalt after you go to your job at that graphic company and are driving a Hellcat around all night, and you have some other girl's car and you're looking for something out in the jungle. To be honest with you, that's what happened.
Quarter-sized scars, open wounds on my hand that had reopened, and they constantly are reopening. They're on the palm of my hand, and there was a little bit of blood on my pants, I believe, from that. And like I said, this is no wonder that the police, even with everything they have now, like my clothes and whatnot, my pants, you know, the FDLE testing that they say that they're running, it's not a surprise.
You don't have time limits when if you get a media pass or you're a police officer. This is actually going to help the case because somebody just said it right. He puts himself with two victims and they had blood on them, so they obviously have enough information to DNA, what have you, to convict him of both murders and give him the death penalty, which we just started. We haven't even got up to that yet.
I haven't been charged with anything. I know this because the blood that's on my pants is from my hand. You know, so if they're saying that there's any blood, it's from myself.
So wait, I have to ask you, we spoke to Mila and she's claiming that when you confess, she's claiming that you confessed to her. And she says that when you confessed that you told her you were under the influence of drugs. Is there any truth to that at all?
No, there's not truth to that. And if I do, you know, like what people do in their personal lives is what they decide to do. You know, I don't think that it's fair for other people to get into other people's personal business. And, you know, if you drink alcohol, I'm not going to ask you if you do. You know, that's your own business. You're a grown woman. You're a grown individual. Mila doesn't know me very well. Like, she doesn't know me enough to say these things.
I have two follow-ups for you. One, did you in fact confess to her? Because that's what she's telling us. Did you confess to these murders to Mila?
Is that what she's saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. No, I didn't confess that. And you know, a confession. Also, let me just inform you. I'm innocent of these charges. If there is any charges that will be present, I haven't been charged with anything. And that's all that I can tell you about that.
So let me ask you this then. So it appears that you were the last person to see these two women alive, or one of the last people to see these two women alive. Does that scare you? You're saying you didn't do it, but does it concern you that you're one of the last people to see them alive and nobody knows what happened to them at this point?
Sure. No, I understand that. You know, but that's not my fault. That's not my concern. That doesn't have anything to do with me. I can't give you any answer about that. Just because I'm the last person to see them, you know, obviously, like I said, I've told you my side of the story, and that's all there is to it.
So I just wanted to ask you, do you have any theories as to what may have happened to these two women?
Well, to be honest with you, man, since I've been in here, I talked to.
Yeah, you already all know that when someone starts off a sentence with, to be honest with you, after they just told you 22 minutes of complete and utter nonsense. This is good to hear phone calls, though. We don't get this all the time. And a lot of times after somebody's convicted, we get lucky when we get the phone calls. But we know that if we got the phone calls after his trial, it's just going to be nonsense anyway. I don't even know what he's talking about. I think the drugs fried his brain because nothing makes any sense. His timeline, there is no timeline, and it's like he's out in the clouds and then he ends up in the woods, and then he's fighting off some kind of something. I don't know what he's talking about. So we don't care about his jail calls when he does go to jail. We do want him to get the death penalty for the two victims. We want to remember Kristine Melton, 35 years old. Remember, she was found dead in her Cape Coral home on October 7th, 2019. So I don't know what happened to her car just yet, if it ended up back at her house or if he took it, dumped it. But I do know that they found her passed away. Kristine, who he's talking about, who supposedly gave him the car and the phone in her house, strangled. And then Diane, the lady that he's saying gave him directions, she vanished while walking to work on the same day Melton was found. So she was going to work. He must have talked to her, but her body wasn't discovered until 3 days later behind a Sam's Club. I bet that car had a bunch of evidence in it.
Oh. I talked to a lot of people. I have friends and family that still support me. And I've heard that a third woman was found in Cape Coral, and this was big on the news.
Okay, so now he's on conspiracy theories, but Marcy, I want you to know this happened in 2019, but the trial is happening now. trial started last week with jury selection, and next week you're going to see this guy. We call him the tattooed faced murder. That's what I'm calling it, the tattooed faced double murder spree. This is the beginnings of it. When you see him as he progresses, he is all tatted up on his face. He's got Joker tattoos. So this isn't an old story. I'm telling you the story from the beginning.
And so it doesn't surprise me that it sounds as though somebody is going around doing these terrific things. And, like I said, since I've been incarcerated now in the Lee County Jail, a third woman's been found in Cape Coral.
We're still working on that. I don't know that I remember any other women being found, but I'll look into that and see.
Well, that's what I've heard. So maybe I'm incorrect on this. I'm not entirely sure, but just what I've heard. It's hard for me to hear. It's hard for me to get clear news, being that actually in Lee County Jail I'm housed in segregation. I don't get to see the news or anything like that. I just get to hear things from family members and other people.
So just to confirm, you haven't confessed to Mila and you haven't confessed to anyone to these murders?
No, but are they saying that I did?
We're hearing that you may have confirmed to multiple people. That's why I was asking you.
Right. And I've heard the same thing. But it doesn't, just things that you hear, you can't believe. That doesn't mean that they're true. So,
something else that people were talking about at your latest court appearance, people were talking about your shaved head and that you had what looks like a swastika on your head. Do you want to talk about that? Because people are making judgments based on that as well.
The question that you asked me, I don't wish to speak on that.
Okay.
I don't think it's not relevant to the situation in any way, shape, or form. I don't think it's something that needs to be brought up.
Okay, that's fair. I just wanted to ask. Viewers at home were asking, so I wanted to ask you for your side. So really quickly, Wade, I want to jump back in. I know that you said you met Kristine just that night at the Buddha room, and obviously you guys spent the night together and a part of the morning together. Was there any conversation? Did she tell you that, her plans for that day, the next day? Was she going to go anywhere, meet anybody? We're just trying to understand, what happened to her.
Did she tell me any of her plans?
Yeah, we're trying to find out what happened to her. So anything you can tell us will help.
Well, here's what I was concerned about, and here's something that the police have not even. I'm not sure they've investigated into it or not. She didn't tell me what she was gonna do the next day. Like, she didn't tell me her plans. Honestly, okay, here we go. She didn't tell me, what she was gonna do. But here's what I tried to convey to the police, and I don't know if they've looked into it. They didn't even. Remember when I told you that we left the Buddha with her friend and another man, and he.
Yeah, as soon as we get through this, we're going to see all the constant attention that he seeks, because he goes back in court. He tries to escape. He has a hearing about his tattoos, and then he decides he doesn't want them, and then he ends up on trial. But it's really good to know the backstory when a trial starts, especially because you're not going to get all this information from, a 15-minute News Nation clip. So putting all this together for me is interesting.
I don't know his name, the guy that lived off McGregor. And so what I told the police, because they did ask me, they said, the night that we left his house and went and got an Uber ride to her house, he was going to take us in my car, and he was going to drive us to Kristen's house. So Kristen told him her address, and he knew where she lived. Now, the other thing about it is the reason that we left his house was actually because he was kind of weird. He was really strange. The longer we stayed there, me, Kristen, and Kristen's friend, none of us wanted to be there. We were all kind of like, this guy's weird, he's real strange, he's a little off. And so none of us wanted to be at his house anymore, which is the reason we wanted to leave. Now,
yeah, I think he's talking about himself, folks. Really weird, really strange, trying to put it off on someone else, bring up another murder. And yeah, Kay, if you want to email me, that'd be great as we progress through this today. This is just one of the interviews. I want people to hear what nonsense. And if he does get on the stand, he's going to sink himself. He did already confess. They have that documentation. So yeah, I definitely like to hear more And that would be great. If he would let me interview him, that'd be fantastic. I'd let him talk a little, but I'd ask more direct questions and say, yeah, I have a strategy behind my madness.
You know, the problem was with leaving in my car, you know, me and Mila have this car, the Hellcat, and I can't drive a stick shift. Usually I let Mila drive. She drives and I sit in the passenger seat. And so this guy, the way that we got to his house was because he drove. He could drive a stick shift. So there was another problem of leaving his house was I'm about to run out of gas. I can't drive a stick shift. And so we told him her address, and he was going to drive us to her house. But for whatever reason, when we were about to leave, he decided that he didn't want to come anymore, and he didn't. And so this is another individual that I've tried when the police investigated me, and I told them about him. I don't know his name. I don't know who he is. I know vaguely where he lives. Maybe I could find it.
I bet he's a black guy too. What do you guys think? He probably had a mask on and it was a black guy. Yeah, no, he definitely is just telling stories, and we're almost done with this, but it gives you a good background on his character, what's happened up until now, how he's going to act in court. He's probably even worse than now. KA says, freaking wild. She disappeared in 2019 during COVID. It's a whole different cluster. Yeah, I'm sure. So when we talk about murder, Florida cases and murder cases in Florida, they do get really wild. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because it's really wild. Just listening to him is just a bunch of BS. And yeah, that is the problem. If you want to be honest, sir, the problem is you're a murderer. Very true.
I've told them that, and whether or not they've looked into this further, I'm not sure.
And that gentleman was Kristine's friend, correct?
Yes, no. He was somebody that we had met that night at the Buddha.
Gotcha.
So I don't think that he was Kristine's friend. But if he was, I'm not really sure, because when I met all of them, they were already conveying, together. They were already together. So he may or may not be her friend. I don't want to tell you something that I don't know. But as far as I could tell, he was just somebody that they met that night.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
As far as Diane is concerned, I know you guys spoke about directions, and she gave you directions back to Fort Myers. When you gave her a ride, did she talk about anything else with you?
No, she didn't really talk about much. She just talked about work, and I don't even remember what she said she did for work. I can't remember that. But she talked vaguely about going to work, and that was it. The ride that we had together was short, 4 or 5 minutes, maybe at most, and that was it. So we didn't really talk a whole lot. It was real short ride, and dropped her off.
I bet it was short. It takes about 4 to 5 minutes to strangle or choke somebody, just so you know. 3 to 5 minutes is usually the least amount of time, but I think he gave us the time on how long it took for him to take her life. I think there's some verbal leakage right there in his statement. Very short ride. If she happened to get in a car that he couldn't even drive, remember? He didn't know how to drive stick. Someone else was driving it, but now he's driving it, and he's being an upstanding citizen after looking for whatever he was looking for all night. It took him 5 to 6 minutes to take her life, more than likely.
And I thought that she wanted me to drive her all the way to work. That's the assumption that I was under. But then she said she just wanted to be dropped off in the bus. So that was what I did.
And at this point, you told me you don't have a lawyer, or you have a public defender, but you're seeking outside counsel. Is that correct?
Yes, I am seeking outside counsel. I have had people outside of the public defender's office contact me, and there is certain people that are considering taking my case on.
So obviously, Wade, this interview was.
Yeah, guys, this is going to be on court TV, so it's going to this is old footage, and we're almost done, so we could keep going with the story. His story just kind of gave me a headache almost. This guy's out of his effing mind.
To get your side of things, is there anything else that people at home should know from your point of view?
Yes, from my point of view, I would say to the people at home, do not listen to what necessarily the media says all the time. Not to convey you guys, not to say anything about you guys, but don't always listen to what the media says. Don't always listen to false reports. A man is guilty until proved innocent.
He said a man is guilty until proven innocent. And on that note, I'm going to take this off because he literally just said a man is guilty until proven innocent. This guy is, I don't even know that. I think I just lost 30 minutes of my life that I cannot get back. So let's watch him get indicted now, folks. Now, remember, check this out. At the time, he actually wasn't indicted with that. He said he hadn't been charged yet. He was in jail on some assault charges. They were talking to him about it, etc. Now he is. So we're going through a timeline. This is still 4 years ago. Now he's going to be indicted. Trials coming up. It started last week, juror selection, but we're 4 years back. He's now indicted in the deaths of Kristine, Melton, and Diane Ruiz, who he was just talking about. He ran into both that night, but they were perfectly fine when he left them.
Fox for an in-person interview in jail for money, and the fiance of one of his alleged victims is speaking out tonight. I'm Patrick Nolan.
And I'm Jane Monreal. A grand jury officially indicted Wade Wilson on 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Ruiz and another woman, Kristine Melton. Both women were killed within hours of each other in Cape Coral last month. And tonight, we have team coverage on this high-profile case. Fox 4's Rochelle Aline will tell you what Wilson demanded for that in-person interview and why Fox 4 turned him down.
But first, we want to go live to Jillian Hartman. She is outside the state attorney's office. She's been talking with the heartbroken fiance of Diane Ruiz. Jillian?
Aw.
Well, Patrick, I spoke with the fiance of Diane Ruiz, and he feels relieved that Wade Wilson is being charged for her murder. He believes that Wilson killed the love of his life and hopes justice will be served.
He took away the love of my life.
Scott Hannon is reeling the death of his fiance, Diane Ruiz.
I don't think I'll ever love that way ever again.
Her body was found in a field about a half-mile away from her home last month.
I will never forgive him for that.
She went missing on October 7th, the same day Kristine Melton was found dead inside her Cape Coral home.
All right, so that's what happened. Whatever he's talking about, he's out of his mind. The jury's going to see it. We see how many tattoos he's gotten since he's been in jail, awaiting trial, doing all these fiascos. Finally, he's indicted, and now we work our way up. The poor family of both of these victims. This house, these good-looking house, neighborhood looks nice. Diane was just trying to get to work. Kristen, I don't know how she knew that joker or what. I'm not sure yet.
Today, the state attorney's office and Cape PD announcing that a jury indicted Wade Wilson for both murders.
Almost collapsed to my knees in joy.
Police say evidence led investigators to believe that the 2 deaths were connected. Early on, police identified Wilson as a person of interest.
These 2 women were preyed upon by the defendant, and their murders impacted their families and shook our community.
About 6 weeks after their deaths, Dave Newland answered why Wilson was not immediately charged with their murders.
Let me be clear. Securing a successful prosecution and ultimately a conviction in this case is paramount.
Hannon says the death penalty is on the table.
And
it is on the table, and they just met at the Buddha bar, I believe, that night. So yeah, he was angry, obviously, and just went on like I said, a murder spree. I don't know what his problem was that night or how many other people's life he's potentially taken. We don't know. We're looking at these 2, but I'm glad he's locked up because he's a dangerous guy that seems to think he can talk his way out of things.
I personally hope he gets it because that's what he deserves.
Wilson was also indicted 1 count each for battery, plus grand theft, burglary, and first-degree petty theft.
I missed it again. I drove up.
Now, Wade Wilson is scheduled to have his first appearance for the new charges tomorrow morning. Reporting live in downtown Fort Myers.
All right, we're going to stop with that and move on to the next one. Where are we? So this guy is just out of his mind. Now Now we're a year into it, and he wants to escape. So that's interesting. That's a very interesting take on it. Let's take a look at this. Hold on. Where's it? Yeah, that was a whole bunch of woo. That poor interviewer. I wouldn't even have. I don't think I would have gotten that far in interviewing that guy. He is out of his freaking mind. All right, let's watch this. Hold on. All right, here we go. He tries to escape now, folks. Someone says his latest tattoos don't look professional. Well, his latest tattoos are from the jailhouse. So he's been in jail for the last 4 years.
Women in Cape Coral just tried to escape from jail, but
by the way, now that his head's shaved there, you can see the Nazi sign on it. Can you see my pointer? Thank you, Nikita. Thank you for bringing the awareness and putting humanity back in the cases you share. You're very welcome. I'm glad you guys get to see this so that you know the story of who this guy is, what a liar he is, he's a demon, and now he's hanging with the white supremacist, probably because those were the people that would take him in jail.
Wade Wilson didn't get too far. Thanks for watching NBC2. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kelly Burns. Wilson is accused of 2 brutal murders in Cape Coral almost a year ago to the day. Police say Wilson went on a drug-fueled killing spree, murdering 2 women in 48 hours. Kristine Melton on the left and Diane Ruiz closest to me. Tonight, Wilson, along with his cellmate Joseph Katz, are even more trouble. Reports say they tried to smash through a window and break out of jail. NBC2's Ashley Dyer is live at the jail right now on Ortez Avenue, showing us how deputies caught the pair.
Wade Wilson is accused of viciously murdering Ruiz and Melton last October. Less than a year later, he faces new charges. Deputies say last night, Wilson tried to break out of the jail through a window. Last night, Wade Wilson, who faces 2 first-degree murder charges, and his cellmate, Joseph Katz, tried to pull a get-out-of-jail-free card.
The window in particular in question, they started to remove some of the weather stripping. Okay, and they started to work on that window with a couple of bolts.
You can see the damage in the bottom right corner.
This just proves that he's not a good person.
Lee County Sheriff Carmine Marcino says the men plan to use a window as their escape route. The sheriff calling it a failed attempt from the start.
There was no way to get through that window physically, even if it was open. Okay. Furthermore, we had a series of layers after that they would have to penetrate to get out, and that's not happening.
The attempt to flee his prison cell comes almost 1 year exactly after Melton and Ruiz were found dead. Diane's boyfriend can vividly remember.
October 7th was the day he killed her and she became missing. So I'm not looking forward to that day.
Ruiz was found dead in a field in northwest Cape Coral. Melton found dead inside of her home.
She was a funny girl, you know. She was always happy. She was just super nice. Yeah, she was a good girl.
Debbie McCabe lived right next to Kristine.
Kristine was a really, really quiet person. And I could hear beer bottles hitting the garbage.
And was home the night she was murdered.
I didn't see him. I heard him.
After Kristine was killed, Debbie installed an alarm system.
I just can't imagine him being out again. They scared me.
As family and friends continue to grieve the loss of Melton and Ruiz, they're relieved to know Wade Wilson will be sleeping right where he woke up, behind bars.
He should be locked away for the rest of his life.
In addition to the 2 first-degree murder charges that Wilson faces, he and Katz now also face attempt to escape a prison and criminal mischief charges. I'm live in the county, Ashley Dyer, NBC2.
Wade Wilson has a pretty disturbing record. He was already...
All right, good. Now you guys will see a little bit more about his record. You can see he looks a little younger here. He looks like a different person at every corner. And we're actually leading up to present day. It's funny because I'm looking at something on YouTube right now and somebody else is covering this case. And I think they probably got like the court files, you know, the big guys.
A felon before the murders of Diane Ruiz and Kristine Melton. Wilson had been arrested several times in Lee and Palm Beach counties. He's accused of raping another woman he was dating in Fort Myers. He was arrested for that, but once again, bonded out. He's also accused of stealing from his girlfriend and pawning her stuff. After he bonded out that time, he kept skipping court dates. NBC2 spoke with Wilson's ex-girlfriend on the phone when he was arrested for the murders last year. Just listen to some of...
What a good guy he is. Wow. I believed everything he said. Do you see what he's accused of here? Damn. This guy.
Horrible things she says he did.
Tied me up in the back of my own car and like tied my mouth shut and my arms and legs and beat the crap out of me.
He has two sides to him. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He absolutely can be the sweetest guy that you've ever met in your whole life.
I doubt
but
it.
He's also a monster.
Count on NBC2 to stay on top of this story for you.
And we will. We're going to stay on top of this story as well. All right. We're definitely going to keep going with this, and we're leading up to present day soon. But this guy has more to say, and I want to hear what he has to say as we lead up, because this is now a year ago. So we're getting closer, folks. And then you're going to see the updated things going on in court, the hearings, etc.
This man, Wade Wilson, is accused of brutally murdering two Cape Coral women, Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz. He's been in jail since 2019, awaiting trial. And recently, he sent us dozens of letters with some wild accusations. Tonight, for the first time ever, and from jail, he's talking, and it's with NBC2 anchor Kyla Gaylor.
These are all the letters Wade Wilson has written to NBC2 over the last 6 months. He really wanted to talk with us. I know what you're thinking. Why would we listen to a man accused of some pretty heinous crimes? A man with a long rap sheet at that. Well, we found out he may be involved in even more than we once realized. Wade Wilson had a lot to say in his first.
Okay, now he had a lot to say in his first video, but not much to say. Don't worry, this isn't 30 minutes long. My headache finally went away. It took a minute for me to just do this and then let go of all the nonsense. Like he said like 5 words that were relevant to anything. Now it looks like he's missing some teeth here, so we had to compensate by tattooing a Joker face on him, and he obviously needs attention, which was funny that the newscaster said that he really wanted to speak to me with this big stack of letters. All right, let's listen to him.
First and only on-camera interview since he was indicted on murder charges more than 3 years ago. And I had a lot of questions. Did you kill Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No surprise there, considering he pleaded not guilty. He seemed confident, even smug at times while sporting his orange jumpsuit and new face tattoos.
I'm not a monster. Yeah, I'm not a saint either. By any means, I've made bad decisions in the past, of course.
While Wilson is accused of taking 2 lives, he claims to have tipped off investigators about a plot to kill another woman while behind bars. According to an arrest report late last year, Tristan Gendron asked Wilson to help kill the mother of his child, so his domestic abuse charges would be dropped. Wilson couldn't do it himself. He was in jail. But Gendron asked if his crew on the outside could.
He just thought that I was the person to ask for that.
This is a copy of the note Gendron wrote Wilson in jail with details of the hit job. It came with a $200,000.
All right, so this is the part I'm talking about. There's some letters here and him speaking about organized crime and different things going on. You're not going to hear this now. Now I'm sure there's going to be more things happening as court commences, but this guy is just out of his freaking mind, and you can tell. I mean, when people tattoo things like that on their face and they tell these wild tales after strangling, beating, abusing women, he's missing something, and he's probably has mental problems that were self-diagnosed with drugs. But yeah, they just need to give him the death penalty.
Payout. Gendron said the money was in a safe at Gendron's funeral and cremation services in Fort Myers.
People would accept $10,000, $200,000, surely, but I'm not that type of person.
Instead, he reported it to the state attorney's office and became a sworn witness.
I don't know her personally whatsoever from a can of paint, but it doesn't matter. She's a person.
Investigators later found out there was a safe at the funeral home with cash inside, and those security codes in the note were accurate. The funeral director said the murder for hire charges are BS. As you might imagine, anyone tied to Wilson isn't keen on talking. The state attorney's office can't. We don't know all the evidence it has, but it's enough for
Yeah, you see how much bigger he's getting, and his last note was, remember, we're guilty until proven innocent. I don't think he said that on purpose either.
prosecutors to go for the death penalty.
It doesn't work me. It works me only because of the level of corruption around here in Fort Myers.
He definitely looks like he's on meth there in jail. If you look at his eyes, they're all like blacked out. He probably is back on methamphetamines or whatever uppers. People don't just do that to their face, and he's losing all of his teeth. Yeah, something's wrong with him.
Was involved with.
We learned some of that evidence may include a confession, which Wilson says he was forced to make after he was charged.
When coming to jail, I knew that I had to get something out there as far as a confession because I was told to do that. Otherwise, my parents were going to be harmed. My children were going to be harmed.
Wilson's own father spoke on the record. He told investigators Wilson called him after spending the night with Kristine Melton, asking for help. She was a server at a Cape Coral bar. Wilson's father said his son admitted to strangling Melton while she was sleeping and then rolled her up in a carpet. Wilson admits he met Melton at a bar the night before she was found dead and slept at her house, but claims she was alive when he left in her car. He told his dad he then picked up a lady, asked for directions, then choked her and ran her over so many times he made her look like spaghetti.
I was forced. That wasn't a call that I willingly wanted to make.
Investigators say that other woman was mother of two, Diane Ruiz.
As far as Diane Ruiz, I never ran across her, never seen her, and there's nothing that will say otherwise than that.
Wilson only briefly mentions Ruiz and Melton in his letters, never giving these women.
See, he had a whole interview. We just listened for 30 minutes. It says she was going to work and he dropped her off, not at work, but at the bus stop. So right there, I mean, I hope that they literally just stop wasting time on this case. They've spent 4 years. The jury's being picked. I hope it's not a long trial and they convict him. What's up, Michelle? How's it going? Breaking through a window in jail. Not well planned. Nothing's well planned with him. Something's wrong with this guy. Look at these letters. This guy's bored and he's probably on a ton of methamphetamines. If anyone wants to write him, there's his Wade S. And then whatever that says, it's Wilson, but he's got his number there, and you can see, go ahead and write him in jail. He'll send you back like 50 letters.
Women the dignity of saying their names, just that he was set up. He talks more often about a high-profile case of another Cape Coral woman, Lauren DeMolo, who hasn't been seen since June of 2020. Wilson admits he is trying to save his life, but it will be up to a jury to figure out.
All right, now you see how much different he looks. Now we're getting up to the newer stuff. That was way back 4 years ago that I started, an hour and 45 minutes ago, and now we're getting to recent
fact from fiction.
Are you just trying to discredit the people who are testifying against you at trial?
Absolutely not. No, I'm just trying to tell the truth.
Wilson and I covered a number of topics, more than we had time to show you and more than we could legally air. Overall, it really seemed like he is trying to bring these things up to save his own skin. Wilson's attorney filed a motion earlier this month to remove himself as counsel due to a conflict.
What she meant to say was he said more than she wanted to share because it was nonsense and we couldn't sit through another 30-minute of nonsense that meant nothing. I'm sure he said nothing. He probably tried to flirt with her and use these different tactics. I absolutely believe that she didn't get any good coverage at all after seeing that other one, and him speaking from jail meant nothing. That's why they showed 30 seconds of clips.
Conflict of interest. He said their relationship was so ruptured they couldn't move forward. I reached out to that attorney a number of times, but I never heard back. Wilson claims he was part of an organized crime ring. And coming up at 11, we'll tell you how that conspiracy also involved Lauren DeMolo, a local spa, and a former sheriff.
I know her family.
Yeah, we're going to have to look into that, folks. I'd like to look into the Lauren case just because now that we're tied into that, Lauren DeMolo, now that we're starting to look into this, even though it's not connected to him, it's still a missing person case, I believe. So that guy speaks from jail. Oh, he's awful. All right, so jury selection begins. Now we're going to get to current times. And we could hear a lot of... Hold on. Sorry about that. Let's get to it. And then you guys will be all caught up once we're done here. And you can start watching the trial.
With jury selection in our newest live trial, the Strangled Woman murder trial. The defendant is 29-year-old Wade Wilson. He faces multiple charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz. These 2 women were killed within days of each other back in October of 2019. Melton was found dead in her home, and Ruiz was found in a field several days later. Wilson faces the death penalty there in Florida in connection to these killings. For more on jury selection in this trial for Wade Wilson, here's Scripps News affiliate WFTX in South Florida. I'm Fox 4 senior reporter Caitlin.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there next.
And now keeping you up to date on the first day of a high-profile Cape Coral double murder trial. Wade Wilson is accused of killing 2 women in 2019, Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz.
You've all been called for jury service in the case of the state of Florida versus Wade Wilson.
And with those words, Wade Wilson's trial began. He faces 6 charges, 2 counts of murder for the strangulation of Kristine, Melton, and Diane Ruiz, grand theft of a motor vehicle, battery, burglary, and petty theft. Charges the judge read to Wilson in court.
Did unlawfully from a premeditated design to
He showed no emotion on his face, though Wilson did fold his arms and lean back at times as his attorneys and the prosecution questioned potential jurors.
Do you have any personal or moral or religious opposition to the death penalty?
Both sides asked that because if Wilson's found guilty, he could be sentenced to death.
Even if you find that the aggravating factors outweigh the mitigating circumstances, do you understand that the law will never compel you to come back with a recommendation for death?
The attorneys also asked about the tattoos on Wilson's face. You could see a line by his mouth mimicking stitches, a swastika on his face, and many other tattoos.
Is there anything about his face that would cause you just to say, oh, he's guilty, or would you be able to say, I'm going to listen to the evidence and make the state prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt?
The judge ruled Wilson can wear makeup to try to cover up the tattoos, but he did not appear to have any on the first day of the trial. Again, jury selection will take about a week, and then the trial is expected to be another 2 or 3 days, and I'll be here every step of the way. Reporting inside the Lee County Courthouse, Caitlin Knapp, Fox 4.
Still with us to discuss this new live trial on Court TV, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Marie Pereira is with us, and family and parenting relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornbluth is with us as well. Marie, let me start with you. Your thoughts on this ruling by the judge saying that he can wear makeup in this case. It's one of those unique rulings, but seems to be important in a case like this.
Absolutely, because it will work in his favor if he chooses to do it. But just looking at him, just that a person could put all of those tattoos, he looks like something evil. And he knew what he was doing because he got the tattoos. So would he even know that it's in his best interest to even cover it up? And the trial started, he's got it on. This is not going to help him. He looks creepy, scary, and he looks like somebody that has a propensity for violence, just off the strength of what his face is like.
Dr. Sue, you were reacting when we saw those images and the decision by the judge, but your thoughts from a psychology perspective on perhaps what you would recommend if you were someone who was on this defense team, consulting with them and making suggestions about perhaps this death penalty case.
Well, I think Marie was correct when she said that he has all these tattoos all over his face. They are hate tattoos, a lot of them, which doesn't make him look very good to the jury. And these are hate crimes too, all right? Anytime a woman is killed, raped, they're hate crimes. They have something against women. What I would suggest psychologically is to go back into his background and paint a picture that he was an abused child or he had mental health issues or anything along that line to create some kind of sympathy for this young man. But I don't think there's going to be.
Sorry, guys. I gave myself a headache with this man, too. Yeah, he was just talking nonsense. You heard it, but when the trial comes, you're going to be even more angry. But this guy sits there not only with a smirk on his face, but the fact that he murdered these 2 women and sits there with Joker stitches and a smile on his face, a half-cocked smile. Yeah. Next, we're going to find out, do you really think it's going to affect the jury? Probably.
Annie, when you wear swastikas on your face or hate messages, the jury is not going to look at that very fairly.
Now, Marie, he's not charged with a hate crime, but in Florida, he is facing the death penalty. So there's nothing that could enhance what he is facing in this case. Your thoughts on that process when we're asking the jury those questions about whether or not they can be fair and impartial, and they also have to be asked, can they fine for the death penalty? Because it can't be someone who is completely against the death penalty. Do you agree with that process that's happening there in Florida?
It has to be a process because you want to pick a jury of the person's peers who are capable of following the law. And if this is a death penalty case, they have to understand aggravating factors. And if they are proven, then the next phase of sentencing will come. Are you able to morally, ethically, spiritually say this person will be put to death if the state proves all the aggravating factors and there are not enough mitigating factors when the sentencing phase comes? So yes, this is very important. We don't know all the details of the case, but 2 women were murdered and they were, one frail woman, 2 frail women against 1 evil-looking man. So it's starting out at the gate like this is a death penalty case, and they're trying to make sure they pick the right jury to do that.
And Marie, my follow-up is, because it's death penalty, we know there's going to be aggravators and mitigators that are going to, if he's convicted, they won't go to that phase if he is not convicted of these 2 murders. But if they get to that phase, the state will be saying aggravators. And one of those is atrocious and heinous, but also that these were 2 victims on separate occasions. Do you think that is relevant?
It was actually more like a spree, and I wonder how the jury's going to take that.
Aggravator when you have 2 women who were not together, and we don't know yet about his relationship between either of these women, but do you think there's one that's more aggravating than the other, if he knew them or if this was random?
Whether he knew them or not, or it was random, you're talking about the lives of two innocent women, unprovoked, he murdered. So that's a cruel, hate, disregard for human life. It shows a propensity for violence. And then he has prior history too, to my understanding, of contact with the criminal justice system. And there was no purpose for the murders, except random. Even if there was a purpose, we're talking about the heinous taking of two lives for no reason, unprovoked whatsoever. Right. So the aggravators are there.
All right.
More than 4 years since these two women, Diane.
Oh. Sorry, folks. I actually was getting a headache. That guy, his interview gave me a headache. All right, let's talk about this. Then what this idiot decides after
What's
that.
trending in true crime? Jury selections underway in the strangled women murder trial for defendant Wade Wilson. The defense team is asking potential jurors an interesting question.
Is there anything about his face that would cause you just to say, oh, he's guilty? Or would you be able to say, I'm going to listen to the evidence and make the state prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt?
As you can see, Mr. Wilson has numerous facial tattoos, and he's asked the court to be able to get a haircut, have a suit brought in for him, and makeup brought in to cover up the tattoos. But as you can see, while he's got the suit, he doesn't appear to be using the makeup. We can still see all the tattoos. Now, Wilson is accused of murdering two women. Here are the victims here: Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz. He's also accused of some other crimes. These Florida women were living in the Cape Coral.
Remember, we're looking at the victims right now. Hopefully he gets charged with the death penalty, and it has nothing to do with how he looks. It's the kind of person that he is. I think he just really knows that he's going to be on camera, and he wants to be on camera. And if he's going to be in there for life, he might as well start going on those like Letitia. It's Letitia Stout, but Letitia. Did you see that she just went on the dating sites? She put herself up and out there for people to date her because she's lonely. I have a feeling that's what he's going to do. KA says, I think Mila was scared of him when he got out of jail, and obviously she had passed because she had pressed charges. So he stole her car and went on a rage. I agree. He definitely went on a rage, and it definitely was a spree.
Coral area. They were killed back in 2019, and Wilson is now headed to trial. So we're wondering, could all those facial tattoos potentially influence the jury? Let's bring in our guest and talk about it in the studio with me. Psychologist Dr. Sue Kornbluth, joining us remotely, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Franz Borghardt, and celebrity attorney John Phillips. Great to see you all. Okay, what might the jury be thinking if they see the tattoo?
It's interesting that they're having a whole conversation about this. And I guess, yeah, bye, Princess Mitch. Thank you guys for being here. We've been here for almost 2 hours. We're almost done. We don't have too much longer. I just really wanted to catch up on the case before the trial started and let you know what was going on with him. And you'll hear the story as it comes out, but you'll say, oh, okay, now I know. And I've seen his history, and you won't just be lost. So he is an attention seeker for sure. And look at him with his smug arms crossed. He wanted a haircut, and he's not smiling because he doesn't even have teeth. He's using his Joker face to be cool, the cool guy.
Just that is the question. Dr. Sue, our psychology expert, let me start with you, please.
Oh, Jolie, here we are again, tattoos all over the face. We've seen this in other defendants before. Having these tattoos on their face, I think, is going to affect the jury in negative ways. A lot of these tattoos that he has are hate tattoos. Mm-hmm. And a jury is not going to look fondly upon that. In fact, I think it's going to impact him in extremely negative ways.
Right. A hate tattoo. I'm glad you pointed that out, Dr. Sue. And I'm not sure where it is on his face because there's a lot of tattoos on his face, but apparently there's a swastika somewhere on his face.
Well, you could see it on the other side. And he also has it on his head as well. He's just getting a kick out of this, isn't he?
I'm not sure which side, but perhaps if you look long enough, you'll see it. There it is. It looks under his eye. It looks like it's under his right eye.
No.
So we're looking. There it is. If you look closely, yeah. And That's not good. I can see why the attorneys are concerned here.
Yep.
John Phillips, let me go to you next. Your thoughts on this?
I have court this morning, so I couldn't do better than this. I love court TV tattoo under my right eye, you know.
That would be great. That's an acceptable tattoo, John Phillips. We love that.
It's ultimately the court's discretion. I've seen cases where, you know, they have up to $125 a day for a cosmetologist to cover them up. You know, I'd argue it doesn't fall under more prejudicial than probative or some of the things used to keep out evidence because it's not evidence. And that's a lot to cover up and certainly would be excruciatingly expensive for taxpayers to try to remove them. And sometimes it depends on when the tattoo was acquired. Sometimes they acquired them in jail, and sometimes, not necessarily here, they're evidence of the crime, like a swastika in a hate crime.
Yeah, you must have just got in here. Welcome, Synth Serber. We've been on here for 2 hours now, and I just showed everybody his life and many faces of this monster. So yeah, we've definitely seen his pictures when he was a baby, when he didn't have the tattoos, now that he does have the tattoos, and him heading to trial after the jury has been picked. So it's going to start next week. And we're talking about him fighting for it to get makeup. And then the last clip we're going to play is him turning it down. I can't even believe they were going to give it to him at $125 an hour. I'd have done it for free just to smack him in the face with something. Oh.
Sometimes shows, you know, kind of motive and intent. So it's a tough case ultimately under the discretion of the judge.
Mm-hmm. Great points, John. Great points. You know, and depending on the type of makeup you have, it may or may not cover it up. I would think he would need some professional makeup artist or somebody to cover all that up because that is a lot and it can be distracting. Last but certainly not least, Franz Borghardt wants you to weigh in.
So here's the thing. The defense attorney is doing the right thing.
Here's the thing. I think that should be his problem, folks. I think if you're going to go into prison and go into jail and go get tattoos on your face, that is absolutely your freaking problem. There's no way that they should pay $125 an hour out of our tax-paying money to cover up this douchebag's tattoos. I just got home from pressure washing and my walk far away. Well, you can be in the rewatch crew.
If you're not going to have it covered up with makeup, you've got to get in front of it. You've got to tell the jury during jury selection, look, all due respect to my client, he's got a whole bunch of tattoos on his face. And while we're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, we do it every single day, right? And so I need to know, ladies and gentlemen, potential ladies and gentlemen of the jury, does the fact that my client have a whole bunch of tattoos, including a hate tattoo on his face, is that going to change anything? Is that going to move anything? Now, there's a better way of doing what I just did, Julie, to be sure. But by getting in front of it, at least she protects the record. She can have an honest conversation. You know, I've done it before to where I...
Yeah, he just wants attention. He wants to be in court. He wanted a haircut. He wants people to see him. We saw the awful interview that gave us all a headache, and we sat through for 30 minutes. He wrote that news lady a bunch of letters, and then he wanted the other lady to come and visit him. He said it a couple of times. I mean, this guy is just a psychopathic, narcissistic devil, and I hope he rots in prison for the rest of his life. He knew eventually the jury wouldn't see it. It has nothing to do with anything other than him getting attention for a few minutes.
Even said, look, when I first met my client and I saw all these tattoos, I thought, yep, looks like the kind of person that would do this kind of crime. Great.
Perception.
Yeah, perception is everything.
Yeah.
Dr. Sue, go ahead.
I was just thinking as my colleagues were speaking that perception is everything. That's how our minds work. So when they're seeing all these tattoos, they are making judgments. We cannot stop ourselves from making judgments unless we work on that, which most people don't do, Julie.
Self-reflect and work on being non-judgmental. Yeah, that's true, Dr. Sue. I'm with you on that.
I don't understand why they're protecting this guy at all. Yeah, he did get them all in there. I have no idea why they would even do that. And then he decides not to anyway. He wastes everybody's time, and he definitely should be judged for having hate tattoos. You could barely see the swastikas on his head. This is a joke.
Some good advice for everybody, right? And let's look at some past Court TV cases, because this one has many of our wonderful viewers talking, and those of us at Court TV were thinking about some other cases where we've wondered
Yeah, this is great to watch because these people have gone on trial. This guy, we know who this piece of shit is, Adam Montgomery, and I don't know how that affected anything other than what he did. I watched this trial, and both of these guys are devils on earth, and I'm glad they're showing this.
If they would be distracting for the jury with these defendants. We've got Christopher McNabb. Those of you, Cordy, Sue, I love so much you were there from day one with us. His trial was the first one we broadcast when we relaunched in May of 2019. He was convicted of murder for the death of his baby Kalia, and sentenced to life in prison. And then we've got Andre Warner. He's on death row right now in Florida, convicted of murder. And then more recently, Adam Montgomery, remember him, 40 years he's serving for.
How could we not? And I actually wanted to cover this case. This guy tried to act like the Father of the Year award. And if you see what he's wearing with those awful tattoos, he tries to dress up like he's amazing and he was a good father, but actually he did the same thing as Adam Montgomery. And then this guy is just a psychopath. Man, I'd like to cover all these. I covered this one, but
for killing his daughter Harmony, and he's got the teardrop under his eye. And those of us who worked in the criminal justice system, you encounter some people who get those tattoos because they want to brag that they've got a body or two bodies under them, and some that just get it just to look like they're hard and have killed somebody before. John Phillips, want to go back to you, please. Advice you would give to this guy. Let's say he was your client and he comes in and he's like, help me out, John Phillips. How do you tackle all the issues going on with this guy and his appearance?
Yeah, right.
It's tough, and where's the line, right? So we know that a criminal defendant doesn't have to sit there in an orange or whatever color jumpsuit. You get a suit, right? But what if they want an Armani suit? Well, it depends. They got to pay for that. And here you do what you can to clean up and try to, present somebody that's as non-judged as possible. But a lot of it, you just got to argue in voir dire. You just got to, push that jury to not judge.
I wonder if everything's going to be heard in court. Now, we're hearing all this, folks, and the jury may not hear all this. Some things make it into court and some don't. So they might not hear the story. They might hear from the ex-girlfriend, but they might not hear the story about what he did to her. They might not hear about the other past things that we saw. So we get to see all the behind the scene things that the jury doesn't get to see. And they're worried about his facial tattoos. Very interesting how the justice system works and it doesn't work many times. Example, Kayla Montgomery.
Your client, based upon some, appearance, let the evidence be what causes the conviction or acquittal.
Right. I'm glad you said that, John, about voir dire. During the jury selection process, what you ask is key. Franz, final word to you. To that point, they're still in the jury selection. What would you be thinking about if Mr. Wilson is your client and you were trying to get the best possible unbiased jury for him?
I think you just got to lean into the fact that we, like it was said, that we all judge based on perception. And it's okay to do that. It just may not be okay for you to sit on a jury if that's going to be, what you do in this case. The other piece is he looks like a DC comic villain right now. He's wearing a purple jacket. I mean,
he actually does look like that. I was just about to say that. I think he actually did try to make himself look like the Joker. I've seen many characters like this on social media that call themselves the Joker and they get tattooed like that and that's how they dress. I think that's what is in his mind right now. And he definitely requested that particular suit. It's very disheartening that a guy like that even gets the chance to have this opportunity. Unbelievable.
I would change the color. I would definitely change the color scheme up because he's dressing the role right now, right?
Yeah, Dr. Smith, the Joker. Yes. I know we both got the Joker image when you said the fronts. Yep.
Of course.
No, you're right. That is not a preferable suit, right? Because even clothing's distracting in the courtroom. We all know that. I mean, oh my, we could go on and on. We've got to leave it there. We're out of time. Oh my gosh, we got to say goodbye to our friend John Phillips. Thank you so much for weighing in. We got to let you get off to court.
Yeah, thank you for weighing in. We're got one more clip to go, and then trial is actually starting next week. So we're gonna see what happens, who comes. Now this guy chooses not to cover his face tattoos. He got all the attention. They gave him everything he wanted. Here we go, and then trial starts.
It's on the other side. Swastika's there as well. And the longer he's incarcerated, the more artwork he has done on his face. But apparently, this.
I'm surprised they call that artwork. And it's interesting that Court TV is just picking up on this case, folks. This case has been going since 2019, and I couldn't find anything anywhere other than like news articles and yeah, news articles and different clips from the local area. Now, I'm sure that it was all over your local news, like KA Pisces, but it definitely wasn't. It wasn't on any of my radar, and I didn't see it on YouTube or Court TV. Yeah, so I didn't see I do see the article here. Swastika covered murder, they call him, left his victim looking like spaghetti. Now hide his tattoos. So that's where we are. We've heard the whole story for hours. Let's finish this up. This guy's an idiot.
This is unbelievable because this is during jury selection. He had one emotion to get makeup to cover it up. You know, a little concealer, a nice foundation, maybe some primer, and then you put some powder. You know, you could cover that up, I guess, to a certain extent. But he's just going on natural during jury selection. Julie Grant has the rest of the story for us tonight.
43-year-old Diane Ruiz.
And here we go again. Diane and Kristine. Remember them. They're the victims. We're going to hear a lot about them. We're probably going to hear some gruesome details. I mean, I'm sure that we've heard a lot in this case today. Everything's crazy. I'm sure YouTube is not going to like this. I didn't really blurt anything out. So it's not going to be one of those videos that has ads on it. Trust me, we kind of didn't. Sometimes I just got to let loose and not say unalive. You just got to call murder what it is. Murder.
And 35-year-old Kristine Melton were both strangled to death in 2019. Investigators say Wade Wilson murdered both women.
Very early on, our detectives identified Wade Wilson as a person of interest.
Police believe Wilson met Melton at a bar. Her body was found in her home on October 7th. Wilson allegedly killed her and drove to meet his then-girlfriend in Melton's car. The couple got into a fight, and he allegedly dragged and punched her in the face. Also on October 7th, Ruiz went missing while walking to her job. The next day, Wilson was arrested for the battery of his girlfriend. Days later, Ruiz's body was found in a field. Wilson was quickly identified as a person of interest. He was indicted by a grand jury on November 19th, 2019. He was charged with first-degree murder. He has pleaded not guilty.
I did not commit these murders, and I'm innocent.
Wilson allegedly confessed to the murders multiple times, but he denies any involvement when he did a jailhouse interview with Fort Myers news station WBBH.
Did you kill Kristine Melton and Diane Ruiz?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not a monster. Yeah, I'm not a saint either. By any means, I've made bad decisions in the past, of course.
There is no known connection between Ruiz and Melton. Those who knew and loved them say they just want justice. WBBH spoke to Ruiz's boyfriend.
Well, that's why I wanted to share this story, because they don't have it anywhere. They're only talking about it now that Court TV is going to cover it. And so I figured I'd dig it up for everybody. And when you see the trial, you'll know what the heck we're talking about, what kind of character we're talking about. It's not funny. He's not funny. None of it's funny what he did. He's an angry devil, and he doesn't look like that. I think he did tattoo his face so that he would look like he was tougher. And in with the KKK guys or the white supremacy, whatever they call themselves, absolutely just a narcissistic. He has no empathy for anybody else but himself. So I don't think he has the capacity to.
I want to remember her the way I have her right here. Heaven, I hope he rots in hell.
If convicted, Wade Wilson could face the death penalty.
A couple of things that he said really struck me. I've made some bad decisions. I'm not a monster. Well, jury selection continuing on Thursday. Opening statements are expected on Monday. Of course, your front row seat to justice will be all over this case as well. Let's bring back in our think tank. Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Dave Schnipper still with us. So have you ever dealt with this issue before with a client who has some face art?
All right, we're got a few more minutes and then we'll wrap it up. We got about 5 minutes, guys. I thank you for being here with me, everybody. We've had a consistent amount of people in here, around 150 consistently, and I appreciate that. Don't forget to hit the like button. Jay actually laughing at Vinny's terms, not the guy or what he did. No, I'm all laughing too at it. I've been laughing at this jokester. I just think it's ridiculous. And yeah, the suit's not going to help him. Makeup's not going to help him. When the jury hears the crimes that he's committed and people testifying, hopefully he gets the Chad Daybell treatment.
Well, actually, it's my understanding that he has a great deal of money invested in Sherwin-Williams. He has a lot of stock because he doesn't, regular makeup's not going to get it. He needs to have paint. Yes, actually, I represented a guy by the name of Gunplay who had exactly this, not the same charges because he's a nicer guy, but he had tattoos everywhere.
And did the jury see them?
He didn't go to trial because his lawyer, speaking now, said, because when a
I don't know
jury-
which would be worse, the tattoos or state versus gunplay, right?
Know the
That,
name, yeah.
that could be a problem.
But you do dress your client up to look politically correct. So you have them have their hair, either shaved if it's a guy.
Well, you don't want to shave his head because then you reveal another swastika.
But with him, he's got too much going on. There's not enough makeup. I kind of agree with Daryl that.
I don't think he wore any.
But he's doing this on purpose because he's getting more tattoos every day as he behind bars. Now, he's not the Wade Wilson who was your purple tie Minnesota quarterback.
No.
The Vikings in the 80s, great fantasy football quarterback, same name, may he rest in peace. But he's getting swastikas and more tatted up, knowing that he's potentially going to go to trial. So obviously, if there's intent, he's doing this on purpose. He's crazy. He just whacked out.
So what does the jury do with it? What do you say to the jury? Like you're saying you're not going to hold it against him, but like you're going to look at this guy every day. What are you going to do?
You have to take the worst part and throw it in the jury's face early. You have to say, he looks terrible. I give you that. He acts terrible, obviously, because he painted his face. I give you that. That doesn't mean the evidence should be held against him unless it is against him. You cannot convict him based on the way he looks or doesn't look.
But it's a step further because he's got a big swastika here and a swastika here.
Yeah, I don't even know. I think, they're just giving it attention because, hey, it's an attention getter. I found what he did to just be absolutely unforgivable. And the death penalty is certainly, it's on the table. And I think Florida's going to enforce it. I don't think the jury's going to have a problem with it at all. And I don't know why this guy's getting so much attention. And no, they're not. Nobody's joking about it. They're actually being really serious. And it's weird how much coverage he's getting. Aren't they supposed to move the label Taylor puts on it? So ghetto. Listen to what he did. He strangled 2 women in separate incidents on the same day. He was obviously angry because maybe his girlfriend was breaking up with him or he couldn't drive a stick shift. I don't know.
So you have to even go further about that. And like Daryl said, get out in the open with it. Look, the swastikas is a horrible, disgusting thing, but that has nothing to do with what he's being charged with. You have to base it on the evidence. Hear the evidence. But like Daryl said, get in front of it and throw it out there and try to somehow just put it to the side and know it's impossible. That's all you can do.
Unsuccessfully.
You can't hide it, so you might as well.
How about him
address it.
testifying or speaking at any point? This is a death penalty case.
No.
2 victims. He's talking to the media. He's very very clear about. It's not that they can't prove it. It's I am innocent.
But he gave statements.
He confessed. So doesn't he have to explain those confessions?
It depends on what the confessions are. Let's pretend the confessions, they extrapolate certain words, and that's what the prosecution calls a confession. That does happen. Then I'd have my client potentially testify. It depends on his personality because his view, looking at him is not a good chance of success. But maybe he's erudite. You don't know.
Well, luckily, we just watched 2 hours. Well, I don't know if it's lucky or unlucky that we just watched 2 hours of this guy. It made me a little bit dumber. I think I lost a few brain cells listening to him. However, we do know the history of him and we do know what she's saying is the absolute untruth. And he's going to come off as arrogant, cocky, and evil. And if he does testify, he's one of the dumbest guys on the planet. His IQ must be like 45. We've heard him talk and it doesn't even make sense what he says.
What's it like to represent someone like this?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
Very simple. But you also want to know as to the interrogation. Was this a 5, a 10-minute, a 10-hour interrogation? Sure. When did he confess? Was he under 10 hours of I need coffee?
Are jurors open to that concept of a false confession?
100%.
But I think he told other people that he did it, not confessed to like law enforcement, but he made statements to other people before he was arrested. And obviously that's a big problem because that's
huge problem. Right?
Yeah,
huge problem.
That's going to come in.
Now, if in fact, all this is happening while he's behind bars, right? So he's locked up for what is going on behind bars? How are people getting tattoos behind bars, by the way?
Are you kidding?
How does that happen?
They can get their cell phone.
That's actually really funny that these guys are talking about this because we're all we're the crime crew. We're true crime addict junkies. And it's very interesting to, for them to even be talking about how you get tattoos. That's like talking about how you get drugs behind bars. Are we talking about corruption or what? And yeah, we should have some GOC Tylenols. I actually did run in the other room and take a couple of Motrin. That guy gave me a headache. And yes, Vinny, this guy, man, it's funny. He's funny. He can't be that naive. He's got to be joking.
Marijuana. I mean, come on now. They have everything in there.
We have
Yeah,
all
right.
sorts of
Needles for
artists.
tattoo? I've never gotten a tattoo.
I haven't either, nor will I, at least not knowingly. But I've been tattooed from time to time, but that's another story. You can get a tattoo without the needles, and it happens all of the time. Go to the Fulton County Jail, and you will see people that didn't have.
I will not be going to the jail, Daryl. I'm very comfortable here on this couch.
Things are smuggled in jails all the time, and a lot of law enforcement officials work in jail. They're getting paid under the table. There's a lot of crookedness there. Gangs
That's
in
what I
jail,
was talking about.
it's a whole other system in jail. So I mean,
So I will not go there.
And if they get tattooed, who cares?
Exactly.
It just makes themselves.
He's going to be
look
there
worse.
for a while, I believe, if the evidence pans out.
Trial starts.
Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, David Schnipper, great to have you all here with me.
All right, you guys made it through this with me. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope that you start watching the trial next week so we can report on some of the things. I don't know how long it's going to last. Hopefully I get some more information. The lovely, and I'm not really good at names here, but K.A. Pisces says she's going to email me. She has more information. Maybe we'll also cover the other woman that went missing in Florida as well. And yeah, we've gone down a rabbit hole, but we all did it together. So I love each and every single one of you. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way out. Hopefully I see you next week. Hopefully. I have a lot to say, and I have something new for the Madeline Soto case that I need to talk to you all about, but I'm going to save that for later because, yeah, this was
guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.